This afternoon, our high temperature 58 degrees. Tomorrow we get up to 65 with sunshine, 66 on Saturday, ahead of another storm system coming in Sunday and Monday. Right now we do have some rain downtown and 46 degrees. Inside Sources coming up next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a Logan man is accused of abusing his wife and stepchildren for over 2 years. He is being charged under Utah's new child torture law. Investigators say Thomas James Parker shot his stepson with a BB gun, forced him to eat hot peppers, and would beat him with a belt and dog leash. Several of his charges are first-degree felonies, including child torture.
And sends the message that we don't do these kind of things to kids. We don't, over a prolonged period of time, beat them and wear them down.
Former Washington County Attorney Eric Clark tells KSL these charges bring more awareness to child abuse in Utah communities. Salt Lake District Attorney Sim Gill says we should be taking a holistic approach in prosecuting domestic violence cases instead of just focusing on a win or loss. He says a layered approach with other community partners is best. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, there is no end in sight for the hostilities between Iran and the U.S. More from ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz. We'll have to get back to that story. Let's get a look now at your money at this moment. The Dow right now is up 6 points. We're at 49,496. Coming up, we've got some rain this morning that should be moving out this afternoon. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
A mother's love doesn't always look the same. It's in the woman who raised you, the one who chose you, the one who stepped in when you needed it most. It's in grandmothers, sisters, mentors, and the women who show up again and again with love, strength, and grace. This Mother's Day, Duke's Jewelers celebrates all of them. At Duke's Jewelers, they believe women who shape our lives deserve something just as meaningful as the love they give. Something timeless, personal, and filled with heart. From classic diamonds to one-of-a-kind designs, every piece is chosen to honor her story and yours. A piece she'll wear every day and think of you. Join Duke's Jewelers this Mother's Day and enjoy a complimentary rose with any jewelry purchase while supplies last. Because every kind of mom deserves to feel seen, celebrated, and loved. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville and at dukesjewelers.com.
I have to admit, when I go to MPS to shop, I tend to go into the area where the more unique and even eclectic things are. You never know what you're going to find. Real treasures await you at NPS. And of course, at 20 to 70% off. And then in each of the 4 stores, you'll find savings often even above and beyond that. But I want to talk about the groceries right now that are available for you at the 3 stores, the main store in Salt Lake, and then, of course, Layton and in Orem. Then, of course, there's the industrial store that is right across the street on Empire. But at groceries, you're really going to save. And with what is going on in the world today, you need to be saving money on everything, and especially when you're taking care of and feeding your family. You're going to find the name brands. You're going to find great meat products and, of course, the produce as well. It all awaits you at great savings. It's a nice place to save. NPS.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. And back to you, Cormac.
Right now, it's southbound I-15 delays that are still going to slow you down from Warm Springs Road down to 600 North and from the South Interchange down into Midvale. But northbound I-15 has actually cleared up all across the Wasatch Front. And our crash that we have eastbound I-80 with multiple semi-trucks involved, they've opened up both the lanes now, so it's just a little bit of slowdowns as you approach SR 138 west of Grantsville. And we do still see normal delays on 2100 North in Lehigh, especially eastbound from 3600 West over to I-15. With nutrients blended for greener, healthier turf in our local soil, IFA's 4+ Lawn Care program is the ultimate lawn owner power move. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be another day of scattered thunderstorms and rain, cloudy with highs around 58 degrees. Tomorrow it clears up and 65, 66 on Saturday, ahead of another storm on Sunday. Right now it's 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, could we be one step closer to legalized marijuana in this country? As we know, the state of Utah has passed a law that makes medical marijuana legal in some instances. The federal government hasn't done that yet and hasn't done it even today. But if you recall, Holly, in December, Trump asked his attorney general to take steps to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. The attorney general actually did that yesterday. Here's some information from ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy on that.
The acting attorney general says his move would immediately reschedule state-licensed and FDA-approved medical marijuana from Schedule 1, in the same class as heroin, to Schedule 3. Todd Blanche's order would pave the way for significant tax breaks for the distributors of medical marijuana and ease restrictions on federal research of cannabis. The drug remains illegal under federal statutes, but the administration says it vows to expand patients' access to it as a treatment.
So right off the bat, let's be clear, this is not legalizing marijuana across the country.
It's not even legalizing medical marijuana yet across the country, except in very limited circumstances, and that is for research purposes, but not for the person on the street. It's not as legal federally as it appears to be in the state of Utah.
Right. So what it does, as I understand it, and you can weigh in, of course, is it legitimizes the medical marijuana programs that exist across the country. There are 40 U.S. states that have adopted them. And so that allows state licensed producers and distributors to register with the DEA, because now it'll be a Schedule 3 drug.
Right. So that's a good point. That's a very good point. So historically, marijuana until today was a Schedule 1 drug, the same as heroin, the same as LSD, methamphetamine, those kind of very serious drugs. Now it is moved to Schedule 3, which is again by step Schedule 2, which are the like opioids.
Yeah, exactly.
But so now it's I'll give you some Schedule 3 drugs: Tylenol with codeine, a pain medication, ketamine, which we've talked about on this show, steroids, testosterone, drugs that are not seen as having the same potential for physical and psychological dependency. In other words, it's not seen as a drug that would be something that would cause an addiction in the same sense that some of these other drugs are.
Well, it is the Schedule 3. It is they are medications that can be legally available, but they do have a higher risk of addiction, like those opioids that you mentioned. So it's I think this is a big deal for a lot of people who were really saying, look, we do have medical marijuana, but we're still running into it's a Schedule 1 drug, so there were still some questions, I think, about crossing state borders, right, et cetera. But with this reclassification, it's something that has been talked about, I think, for quite a long time. And so this, I mean, I think some people are probably cheering this and some are not.
Yeah, I think that the medical community, the medical marijuana community, thinks this is a step in the right direction. It's not. It doesn't take federal law as far as Utah state law, let alone all these states that have recreational marijuana. We're a long way from that, but it certainly takes it further than it has been in the past. The administration does say that there is more to come. So this is very similar to what we talked about Monday when the Trump administration did the same thing for certain psychedelics to help people with PTSD,
right?
Especially the veterans. So again, very limited research, very limited use to allow some drugs to be used for purposes that are medically appropriate for people that are suffering from certain conditions.
I wanted to ask too, and I think that this is the case, but this expands the opportunity for research, right?
Absolutely.
Additional research, right?
That's really the overarching reason for the law, is to expand research and give some of these medical professionals the ability. There are certain conditions, you probably know them better than I do, that where marijuana can help people that have certain certain conditions. So we know that there are some parents who are saying, "Hey, I really need it for my child." What we don't want, I think, what we're not quite there at yet, is should it be like alcohol, just recreational?
I don't think we are there. Although I saw a poll this morning which coincidentally said that there's a slim majority of Utahns that would like recreational marijuana to be legal in Utah. I don't see that happening anytime soon. And there's a little bit of eyebrow raising with the poll because it was an opt-in poll and it was sponsored by an organization that wants to expand marijuana use.
Yeah. So there, I think this is a big step, and I think, and it's something that Trump talked about before. So it's not like we're just coming out of the chute here. He's talked about taking some drugs that have heretofore been illegal back to where they can have some medical use, some research to see if they have medical benefits, and if they do, maybe they'll be legalized for medical purposes. Like you say, the hallucinogen that we talked about, it was limited to just one particular one, but it could be expanded.
Imogen, I think is what it was called.
Right, and now THC, marijuana. So again, people ask me about this all the time. If you're in state land, state property, and you have marijuana and you have a medical marijuana card, you're probably okay. But that doesn't mean you can go you can't go into a federal park or federal property or federal building or something like that, because in the federal government, marijuana is still illegal, even with a medical marijuana card. And this does not change that. Although I think people may be more forgiving of that situation, but it's a step in that direction. The big step was taken last November when Trump said we're going to have the Attorney General consider whatever we need to reclassify it. A big step today, very big step, that does reclassify marijuana from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. Still a controlled substance, still against the law to possess, even with a medical card, but it does allow for significant research, which we haven't done before.
So it's interesting that the any state licensed medical marijuana companies, they'll be allowed to deduct business expenses on their federal taxes now because of this reclassification. So that's a thing too.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and so that they haven't had that privilege with the federal government so far.
That's right.
So now,
because it was a Schedule 1.
So that makes a huge difference to these dispensaries, because they have that now. They can treat it like any other business expense.
Sure.
And you can get the tax benefits from it. It could make a significant difference there.
Yeah, so that's an interesting piece as well, right? But I think it has been interesting to have to try and skirt a line, right, where you can get medical marijuana in the state of Utah and 39 other states, but you still had that question, right? I think this takes away some of the question,
right?
Because we know so far, right, that some of the things that medical marijuana is prescribed for in the state of Utah include maybe intractable seizures in a child, right? That can be something that can calm that. I think it can be used with chemotherapy side effects, those types of things.
Right.
So it's not just that you're going to go down to your corner store and get a baggie of marijuana leaf. That's not a thing.
Right.
That's not a thing.
Probably won't be anytime soon either.
I don't think so in Utah.
That's the case. But I think this is Trump keeping his word on a matter, and the public sort of recognizing. And I think that polls would show that a lot of people feel like if marijuana does have benefits for for kids that have seizures or other disorders, that maybe they ought to have the ability to take in medically prescribed amounts.
Well, and to be able to do additional research, and that actually brings me to the next story that we're going to talk about. So medical research or research into the effects of tobacco, for example, really changed in the United States, but the UK is making history because they're moving to phase out cigarettes going forward so that anybody under 18 will never, ever be allowed to buy cigarettes in their lifetime. We're going to talk about how that might work in the UK when we come back.
Hi everyone, it's Congressman Blake Moore here. Strong families are the bedrock of our communities. That's why I'm focused on bringing Utah's core values to Washington and advancing pro-family legislation. I helped permanently increase the child tax credit, create Trump accounts for children, and incentivize employers to provide better access to childcare, benefiting families and setting up our next generation for success. As the father of 4 boys, family is everything, and I am continuing to work on solutions to make raising a family in America more affordable. To learn more about what I am doing to advocate for you and your family in Congress, sign up for my weekly e-newsletter at blakemore.house.gov and follow along on social media at Rep. Blake Moore. If your family needs help navigating a federal agency or has questions about what I'm working on, please give my office a call at 801-625-0107. Happy to also help coordinate U.S. Capitol tours, take your comments, and provide legislative updates at any time. It's our honor to serve you and your families in Congress. Thank you. Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
It's the time of year when so many wonderful things are happening. First of all, we've got Mother's Day just around the corner. We also have a lot of engagement activities, even some early spring weddings. And of course, we have graduations and so much more. It's time to make your reservations at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Either location, right in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City. If you're going to be up in the mountains, they're right there, Hotel Park City, with the very best meal you have ever had. It awaits you at either locations. Now, of course, I love to talk about the steaks. The ribeye is my absolute favorite. Each and every steak is cooked to perfection. But of course, there are other wonderful entrees as well, whether it be seafood or poultry or a specialty dish. It is time. Make your reservations for those special occasions that are just around the corner at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, heart of downtown Salt Lake City or Hotel Park City.
Did you know Utah State University is home to one of the nation's leading centers for disability research and advocacy? At the Institute for Disability Research Policy and Practice, we work side by side with Utahns with disabilities, their families, and community partners to make our state more accessible and inclusive for everyone. Our researchers, educators, and advocates partner with family service providers and policymakers to create real lasting change. We believe that everyone deserves a chance to live, learn, work, and play in our communities. From helping children reach their potential in early intervention programs, to building accessible technologies, to improving mental health and employment supports, our work touches every corner of the state. The Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice is the only disability-focused research center in the state of Utah. That means we're Utah's home for innovation, data-driven policy, and community solutions that make life better for people with disabilities. Find us at idrpp.usu.edu.
Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a gripping new 9-part investigative podcast about a serial killer you've probably never heard of, Warren Forrest, a sadistic predator who prowled the Pacific Northwest in the early 70s. He hid behind the deeds of Ted Bundy. and he's only been convicted of 2 murders, but is suspected of many more. Since the release of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley, a witness identified in the podcast could lead investigators to the remains of Jamie Grissom.
He ran into the woods. He said he stumbled. As he fell down, he looks up and sees the body of a young woman.
And now the FBI is testing forensic evidence that had been collecting dust for decades. This cold case is now red hot. Binge the entire season of Stolen Voices of Dole Valley right now, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on the latest breaking news.
Inside Sources.
Well, as we're considering whether or not to legalize marijuana in some respects, the United Kingdom has just decided they're going to ban cigarettes altogether, make it illegal to purchase cigarettes. So what they're doing is, it's a really interesting concept. I don't know if this would fly anywhere else. I think maybe in the state of Utah, our lawmakers might take a look at it. But what they're going to do is raise the legal age to buy cigarettes by a year every year. So that if you're 17 right now, and they say, well, you can't buy cigarettes until you're 18. Next year, you won't be able to buy them until you're 19.
That's right.
So if you're born after 2008, you will never be able, if this law passes, actually it did just pass, you'll never be able to legally buy cigarettes in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, that's right. And, before we have a further discussion, I do want to say today is also Take Your Child to Work Day. And I do have my daughter Jazzy with me today. She's 11. Say hi, Jazzy. Hi. In the microphone. Hi.
There she is.
So, look, it used to be Take Your Daughters to Work Day, and then it became Take Your Daughter and Son to Work Day, and now it's Take Your Child to Work Day. And it used to be a bigger thing than I think it is now, but Jazzy came with me today.
Well, I'm jealous.
Okay. Well, your kids are quite a bit older. Yeah. So, look, so this concept is really interesting. And it's interesting, too, that it was on this day in 1988, I think, if I remember from my newsletter this morning, that the United States banned smoking on all domestic flights. So do you remember when that was a thing where people could smoke on flights?
Yeah, the last 10 rows of the aircraft were designed for smokers, but it didn't make any difference.
Right, because you're in a metal tube and it's going to get to you. So I remember when our family moved to France, it was in 1977. So it was, of course, pre-ban, plus it was international. But it was the whole plane just smelled like smoke. And in the late 70s in France, I would say everybody smoked. And kids as young as, I would say 9 or 10 years old began smoking. And I was offered cigarettes all the time until I just said no consistently. And then my friends would stand up for me. But I think it's really an interesting approach to say, look, at this point, the UK has said, we know how harmful tobacco is. So we're going to make it so that anybody 17 and younger, and anybody born in the future, you'll never be able to smoke.
Yeah,
legally.
Right. And the cigarette and smoking has really morphed over the years. I remember a time when you could smoke in your office inside the building. And then I was at the DA's office at the time, and suddenly they said, well, we're not smoking inside here anymore. They had little areas outside the office. You had to be 15, 20, 30 feet, whatever it was, away. Yep. There used to be bars and restaurants that had a smoking section.
Oh, in hospitals. Inside, let me tell you, in hospitals.
So now, and I'll tell you, just having never been a smoker, I became used to it. You'd go to a restaurant or a club or even your office, and you just got used to that smell. Now, when you smell it, it's different. It kind of affects you a little bit more. It's a little, for me personally, it's a little more offensive. And I'm not saying that it's offensive to smoke cigarettes. I just don't like the smell. But it is something that we've changed over the years more and more and more. The United Kingdom, I think this is a bill designed for health, for public health, for the young people today. I would say it's a great idea to do that. I mean, I don't have any problem with it. We're never going to have medical cigarettes or, a doctor who prescribes cigarettes. I can't think of a situation where nicotine could be helpful.
So I will just say this. Tobacco had been used as poultices, so not smoked, but soaked and applied externally. It can be beneficial that way. But look, I want to say this. You are right. It is a health measure. And Health Secretary Wes Streeting said the approval was a historic moment for the nation's health, and that children in the UK will be part of the first smoke-free generation protected from a lifetime of addiction and harm. Prevention is better than the cure, he said.
Yeah.
So they, in in the UK, which is, relatively small compared to the United States, they say smoking causes about 64,000 deaths and 400,000 hospital admissions every year in England.
Yeah, so how we talked about this, but how it works is this. The current legal smoking age in the United Kingdom is 18. Under the new law, that rises by 1 year annually. So it takes effect January 1st, 2027. Then every year after that, the legal age of smoking goes up by 1 year.
Yep.
So that means that if you're for example, if you're a 25-year-old born in 2009 won't be able to buy cigarettes in 2034, even though they'll be much older by then.
Sure.
And even a 50-year-old born in 2059 won't be able to buy cigarettes. I don't know. I can see this catching on in some states, and I guess I'm thinking out loud here. I wonder if Utah could pass a law like this, because our legislature might be interested in something like this, or whether cigarettes are regulated on a national level, and that would be something we couldn't do in Utah. I don't know, but I think there's going to be some interest in that.
So we have a texter remind us that Australia already created a rolling age ban on cigarettes. I thought it was New Zealand, so I appreciate the information that it was Australia. But it's interesting, and your discussion is, can you do that on a state-by-state basis? I mean, I think Utah has done a lot with, clean air laws and keeping smoking outside of public buildings. I don't know if they could do a state ban. You'd have to tell me.
Yeah, I don't know either.
With the conflict with federal law,
right,
potentially.
But I don't know if it's regulated federally, because it's different states. Different states have different ages for which you can purchase cigarettes. Yeah. I think it used to be that way with alcohol until the National Highway Traffic Safety Association said, "Hey, we're going to make it 21 for everybody because you could buy alcohol in Wyoming when you were 18 when I was a kid." But now they're saying if you want to have federal highway funds, you can't. But I don't know how that would apply to cigarettes. Anyway, it'll be interesting. I think we could very well see that.
The UK is also tightening their rules on vaping, and that's a thing, of course, that has been growing, I think, in popularity. But the United Kingdom banned the sale of single-use or disposable vapes last year about concerns over youth use and environmental damage. So we know that a lot of the vapes will have flavoring that are meant to appeal to kids, right? You've got bubblegum flavored vapes and strawberry, etc. So they say that this new legislation will tighten the rules around that, with ministers gaining powers to regulate the flavors and the packaging, so that through secondary legislation. And they think about 10% of all adults in Great Britain are using are vaping.
Yeah, and vaping is a fairly new, relatively new phenomena, because a lot of people think of vape as vapor, like water vapor. And so some people would, the airlines had a really hard time with that, because they said there's no smoking, and so people would vape on an airplane. Now they make it clear, no smoking, including no vaping. You can't bring anything like that onto an airplane. I actually had a client who vaped on a plane and said, "Look, this is not smoking," and he got charged criminally.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that's why he became a client.
I think the rules have really clarified that. So about half the people who are current vapors are former smokers, right? So, and then this is UK data, but about 40% smoke and vape both. So they're trying to really crack down on that. I think it's interesting. And, I told you, when I lived in France as a teenager, everybody smoked. And then as I've gone back as an adult, I think the last time I was in France was 2018. It was still more common than I see in Utah, of course, but it was much, much less common than it had been when I lived there.
When I mentioned marijuana, and in case we get some replies on this, there is a way, obviously, even maybe today the more popular way to consume marijuana, and that is not by smoking it. It's by the gummies, the pills.
Yeah.
So then you wouldn't have the health hazard associated with inhaling smoke into your lungs. That's one of the big problems with smoking, and I think smoking cigarettes, and I think it's also a problem with marijuana, that maybe you could have the best of both worlds for public safety and say, look, you can use marijuana, but you can't smoke it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I do have one final question. We're almost out of time, but this is related to the marijuana. So we have a texter that asked us, what would it mean for DOT requirements that bar CDL holders from any prescribed use.
I think you could still say that. You could still say, look, there are certain professions that you just can't
That you
have
can't.
marijuana in your system.
Okay.
I don't have any problem with that because you even today, even if marijuana is legal, you can't operate a vehicle under the influence.
Well, you can't with opioids either, right? You're not
exactly.
supposed to be operating
so,
a
yeah,
vehicle.
I don't think it
Okay.
would make any difference at all. That's
Okay.
just my take
All right.
of
Good
CDL.
good
Anyway,
information.
last night the Senate was up very late. You mentioned that, and you wondered how they were able to do that. But they were moved forward at the end of the night with a major plan to boost immigration enforcement funding, setting up a high-stakes battle with the House. We'll discuss more about that after the break.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story, a report says Park City and Summit County families are seeing big benefits from a new child care program. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis.
Park City and Summit County worked with child care assistance site Upward, providing scholarships for need-based child care to families. Now in its second year, Upwards reports families using childcare have been able to stay at their jobs, gain promotions, and work more effectively, resulting in every dollar put into the program giving back over $4. However, they say the actual number is probably higher.
Park City Mayor Ryan Dickey tells the Park Record the lack of affordable child care is a huge problem for families, and this report shows the program is making a meaningful difference. A Draper family is honoring their child's memory by offering a one-year performance scholarship. Bailey Mallard died from a mountain biking accident 1 year ago. Her parents, Katie and Simon, say she loved to perform and now want to help other children do the same.
We want to keep Bailey's memory alive and share that with our community.
They will be giving the scholarship to one girl and one boy next Wednesday through Studio Kids Productions before their new show. Our top national story this hour, the Senate has passed a budget blueprint aimed at funding aspects of Homeland Security, despite Democrats' insistence on reforms.
The budget resolution that passed overnight in the Senate sets the table for a package that would end the Homeland Security shutdown, circumventing Democratic objections to funding ICE and the Border Patrol without reforms. The measure passed 50-48, with Republicans Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Rand Paul of Kentucky joining Democrats in voting no. The resolution now heads to the House, where its future is uncertain. Some Republicans in that chamber want this reconciliation package to do more than just fund DHS.
That's ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy. Your money at this moment, the Dow right now down 31 points. That's less than a tenth. We're at 49,468. Coming up, some rain this morning that should clear out this afternoon. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You know, as old age started creeping up on me, especially as I turned 60, not that that's necessarily old, but I noticed that I was starting to put on a few pounds, weight that I couldn't get off, and I didn't know why I couldn't take it off because I've always been able to lose weight. I tried everything from fasting to working out more to doing whatever. I finally just gave up and thought I need some help. So I contacted SOTA, Diet Nutrition, SOTA. I'd never gone on a diet plan before. I never used any kind of system before, but I thought I need some help because whatever I'm doing is not working, and I'd gained a significant amount of weight. I couldn't even put some of my pants on. So working with SOTA, I've been on the program for 2 weeks now. I've lost about 14 pounds, which is a miracle for me. Not quite where I want to be, but I'm well on my way. They thought I could lose probably 2 to 3 pounds a week. I've lost significantly more than that so far. I don't know that that's going to continue, but it's worked very well. And one thing I didn't want to do was take medication. I didn't want to take shots. This is all food. It just regulates the food you take, different types of food, different kind of program, when you eat, what you eat. It's worked out really well for me. Remember, SOTA, weight loss, SOTA, join them for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, it's never good news. Keep in mind, it's not just you.
I owed roughly $34,000.
$61,000. When the IRS first contacted me, I was horrified.
When they start hounding you and harassing you and assaulting you.
Don't face the IRS alone. With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
From what I got told was being done in a matter of 2 years, he had done in a matter of like 48 hours.
It's a great thing to have the IRS off your back.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
Once I signed on with Jordan, I never talked to the IRS again.
It changed our lives.
You need someone to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com and get relief today. Let's solve your tax problems now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. And back to you, Cormac.
Well, we don't have any delays on I-15, both directions between Ogden and Provo right now, but what we do have is a crash in Salt Lake City. This is at the intersection of John Stockton Drive and University Boulevard, 300 West, 400 South, and they're blocking multiple lanes, both directions. Right now, it's eastbound University Boulevard that's heaviest of your delays there, but do expect some congestion if you're driving in downtown in that area. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during SNS Roofing's huge spring sale. Flexible financing options available. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote today at snsroofingutah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be scattered showers that should clear out later this afternoon. A high of 58 degrees, sunny and 65 tomorrow. Right now it's 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, the United States Senate was certainly up late last night.
I think it's hard for, look, I'm 61, and I think it's hard for a body that is 20 years older than me on average to stay up until 3:30 in the morning, but that is what they did.
I think that's sometimes how you get things done, is say, well, you can all go to bed as soon as we get this thing worked out. But we know that Homeland Security has been on a freeze for a while. They did pass some other funding to help things like TSA and whatever, but HSA was still under the radar and not getting funding. But last night they did pass
So they passed a resolution.
Resolution, right.
Yep. And ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy has more from Washington on this bill.
The budget resolution that passed overnight in the Senate sets the table for a package that would end the Homeland Security shutdown, circumventing Democratic objections to funding ICE and the Border Patrol without reforms. The measure passed 50-48, with Republicans Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Rand Paul of Kentucky joining Democrats in voting no. The resolution now heads to the House, where its future is uncertain. Some Republicans in that chamber want this reconciliation package to do more than just fund DHS.
Okay, so maybe that answered my question to you, which is how do we get over the filibuster when the vote is 50-48? And you said, well, it's a resolution.
And they're trying to do the reconciliation process, which means you only need a simple majority. So it's one step in a process. And of course, it has to go through the House side. And Leader Thune has said that House Speaker Mike Johnson has not guaranteed, of course, that the budget resolution will pass in its current form. So again, they're trying to fund the Department of Homeland Security. ICE is already funded, and generously so, for the next 3 years, but they're trying to get the rest of this through. It's been, what has it been now? 2 months, more than 2 months?
Probably close to that.
So what happens is this reconciliation package would fund the Border Patrol and ICE, although they also are trying to get a separate funding bill. But you've got people on the House side that are like, absolutely not. So Representative Andy Harris, who's chair of the Freedom Caucus, said, I will not vote for a bill or support in any way a bill that has zeros put in there for Border Patrol. So, you already have a a little bit of a revolt, right, on the Republican side in the House. So that'll be a conversation. But they finally had a conversation. Part of what happened yesterday also is that the Senate has moved on from Senator Lee's Save America Act bill, and they finally just said, we just have to move on from this. And he has vowed to bring it back, but for now, that bill is no longer under discussion.
Yeah, he actually was, as recently as yesterday, was talking about bringing that back and said, no, we're not done with this yet. But it sounds like the Senate's done with it, at least for the time being.
Yeah, Majority Leader Thune said the Senate needs to turn its attention to more pressing matters, and so that's what they shifted away from. Remember, they were trying to do that whole long talking filibuster. They have moved away from that. They've basically tabled the bill, and then they were able to pass this funding resolution. It's just a resolution at this point.
I'm wondering if the exodus of Kristi Noem may have helped move this forward a little bit and given some members of the Senate at least a little bit better comfort level with what's going on there. We don't know a lot about her successor, Markwayne Mullin, yeah, except that he seems to be a little more
He
willing.
has toned it down.
Right, yeah, he seems to be a little more willing to work with both sides and to talk about things and to try to avoid some of the problems that we had with ICE especially and Homeland Security generally. So, yeah, I mean, things have to be funded eventually, and we know that they will. It's just a matter of how that happens and what sort of compromises will be made, I think, especially with ICE, although, like you said, they're funded anyway.
So they had, I think it was a 6+ hour, marathon of discussion, which means they had a bunch of amendments. Some of the amendments that they talked about were to reverse the cuts made last year to SNAP. So Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
They put in an amendment to reverse that. Well, let's see. That's not true.
That's what we had.
The Democrats were trying to do that.
Right.
And there were a couple of Republicans who were in vulnerable positions in maybe purple states or even lean blue states. So Susan Collins of Maine and Dan Sullivan in Alaska, they voted with the Democrats on several of these amendments, but they still weren't able to get them passed.
Yeah, so now this particular bill, or at least this particular resolution, now goes to the House. That should be interesting, and I'm sure that there'll be some back and forth on that. Then it would have to come back to the Senate for approval, right? If it becomes a bill, and well, I don't know.
If there's changes, and it sounds like there will be changes, right? Because the the House has already indicated that they don't think that it'll pass the way it is. So I might have misstated that ICE has been funded. I thought that they were, but these articles, I'm looking at News Nation right now, saying that this bill would allow funding for the next 3.5 years. So maybe the ICE funding is not that long. I thought it was.
Yeah, I don't know that it was 2 years. I thought it was more like 2 months. I know that they had some reservoir of money.
Yeah, but Border Patrol, so funding ICE and Border Patrol through the end or through 2029. So what they're trying to do is get this through the rest of President Trump's term and then through the first year of the next president's term.
It's funny and interesting to watch the ebb and flow of immigration policy and financing in this country because it was such a huge part of of Trump's plan to take office. It was a huge reason why he won in the margin that he did, and it was a huge reason why the One Big Beautiful Bill sailed through because people were really on board with this whole thing. And now people are like taking a step back going, well, maybe we've taken immigration far enough. Maybe there's some ways to, we're talking about deporting people back to Afghanistan. We're talking about all kinds of things going on. People who've lost their jobs, lost family members, some service member who's overseas serving right now and his wife taken into custody and deported. And I think a lot of Americans are going, okay. We get it. Let's close the borders, but maybe not punish people that are really doing everything they can to make things right here in the United States.
So it's interesting, and I think the process is interesting. Where like you said, we're not leaving until we vote on this bill. But it was 3:30 in the morning. I mean,
I didn't realize it was that late.
Yeah, these guys need sleep, man.
Yeah. So 50-48, 2 Republicans joining the Democrats. Yep. So two people, are there 2 senators, I guess, missing that haven't been replaced yet? I'm not asking you to name them, but if only 98 people voted, right, and 46 would have been Democrats, 52 Republicans. There must be.
That's a good question that I don't know the answer to, but yeah, 2 people who didn't vote. I do know on the House side, this is kind of related, but the House has lost 2 Democratic members in the last 2 days. One resigned before she was evicted. That's not the right word.
Right. Yeah.
Before she was tossed out of the house. And the other one passed away yesterday. He was 80 years old, and he was running for his 13th term in the House, but he died yesterday.
I think he was from Georgia.
Yeah, from Georgia.
Democrat from Georgia. Yeah. So, I mean, those positions will be filled eventually, maybe.
Special elections, and it'll be filled before November, but it won't be filled before the next vote on this budget bill.
Before Thursday, right.
Yeah, before Thursday. This is a really interesting story, and, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but a string of deaths and disappearances involving scientists tied to top secret government programs has conspiracy theories exploding, which is why I'm not sure how much I buy into it. But we're going to talk with ABC about why stories like this grip our imagination and explode online, even when officials say there's no connection at all.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Hey Utah, have you heard? Nuclear energy might be coming to our state. Now, before your brain jumps straight into sci-fi movies, let's talk about what nuclear actually does. Nuclear technology helps power our nation's submarines, supports life-saving cancer treatments, and produces reliable electricity for millions of homes. That said, nuclear power also comes with some common misconceptions. Don't worry, we get it. Here's a fun fact. You're exposed to more radiation eating bananas than you are living near a nuclear power plant. And get this, a lifetime supply of nuclear energy fits into a single soda can. Despite what some people believe, nuclear energy is safe, clean, and incredibly efficient. But don't just take my word for it. Energy decisions matter, and Utahns deserve the facts. Learn more about nuclear and what it can mean for you. Visit energy.utah.gov/nuclear.
A multi-billion-dollar settlement is paying claims for up to 21 years. If you were exposed to weed killers at work or at home, your rights are affected. If you or your family has or had non-Hodgkin lymphoma, you could receive $6,000 to $165,000 or more. This settlement impacts you even if you're not sick, because this blood cancer can take 10 to 15 years to appear. If you stay in the settlement, you give up your right to sue. Learn more at weedkillerclass.com or call 888-403-8201. Paid for by the Roundup Settlement.
Help DEA keep our communities safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 25th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
You deserve a home that's truly your sanctuary. Why are you waiting? Dreammaker Bath and Kitchen helps turn someday into today. A space that works and feels like you. Because design and build live under one roof, your remodel experience stays organized. From the first discovery consultation to the final walkthrough, with one team from start to finish. You deserve a home that you can truly be happy in. And that's possible right now. A clear, structured timeline keeps guesswork out of your kitchen or bath project, and it starts with your budget and a fixed price. Then the detailed plan begins with smart and stylish selections, so you know exactly what to expect. Dream Maker Bath and Kitchen is built on integrity and customer focus, and that shows up in the little things: clean job sites and proactive updates that keep you fully in the loop. Back nationally and 3 locally owned Wasatch Front locations. Schedule a consultation at dreammaker-remodel.com. That's dreammaker-remodel.com. Enhancing lives, improving homes. dreammaker-remodel.com.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness,
The ridgeline is imposing the escarpments, the drops.
a place where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle, wherever you get your podcasts.
If you're struggling with your mortgage, there's a free government program that offers expert one-on-one advice about your mortgage options. Call 1-888-995-HOPE or visit makinghomeaffordable.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Treasury, HUD, and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Well, this is a really interesting story that we've been following for the last week or so and haven't really had a chance to talk about it. But, for example, a nuclear physicist and an MIT professor fatally shot outside his Massachusetts residence, a retired Air Force general missing from his New Mexico home, an aerospace engineer who disappeared on a hike in Los Angeles. These are among 10 individuals connected to sensitive U.S. nuclear and aerospace research who have died or disappeared in recent years, really raising some concerns.
Ooh,
Yeah,
right? What's the woo-woo sound?
Right,
So,
yeah.
so, look, and what I'm seeing online, right, is they're all connected, and there's this big effort to get rid of people who are close to nukes. Okay, so we had with us. Right, it's a theory, a conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory.
We have with us Brad Garrett, ABC News crime and terrorism analyst from Washington. And Brad, can you please talk to us about these missing scientists, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so there's a sundry of cases, whether it's 10 or 11. You have some that have disappeared. In other words, they went on a hike in the woods, a couple of them at least, and have not been found. You have others that have been found, I think, and ruled as suicides. And so you have this sundry of cases of people who have worked sort of all over the classified world of nuclear stuff, weapons stuff, UFOs. It goes on and on, anti-gravity. I'm sure some of them know each other. But it's difficult for me, who assesses stuff all the time, to assess these cases thoroughly because there's just not enough information. I'd have to know more about the individuals. I'd have to know more about the work that they had done, they were currently doing or had been doing. Like the General McCassin's been retired for 10 years or so. Only looking at what's available, I just don't see a connection between these cases. Yes, they had jobs that were classified. Yes, they worked on some really sensitive stuff, but so do thousands and thousands of people every day in this country. So, it's some of this life circumstances. And there's 2 people on this list that were murdered, and those were both solved. One of the 2 of you may remember one of them from Brown University. There was a mass shooting there. That guy then drove to MIT and killed the professor there. They knew each other from Portugal. And when they went to engineering school together, and apparently the shooter had some major issue with this professor, and he drove and killed him. And the other is I think a Caltech professor in Los Angeles that was killed outside his home. They caught that guy immediately. I think those are independent individuals, have nothing to do with each other. So I don't see the connections that apparently conspiracy theorists seem to have, because there's no common link. Can you say there's a common link because they have classified jobs? Well, that's not much of a link. That's not really any link. Can you link some foreign adversary like Russia or China to this? Haven't heard anything about that, and would be surprised if it were, in fact, true. And so what you may have is just life circumstances. Scientists aren't any different than the 3 of us or humanity in general. People get depressed. They sometimes become suicidal. Do some of these cases fall into that? Maybe. And again, I'd have to know more about the individuals to actually say that. But I suppose I get the excitement when you start talking about UFOs and former, 3-star generals and people like that. But, it just ends up being talk. Can you really connect the dots? And I don't see the dots connecting.
So what do you think it is about this, Brad, that got so many people thinking about the dots? And I think you just maybe articulate it right there at the end, which is, UFOs, maybe scientists that are involved at the nuclear testing and whatnot, and that there was some weird connection. I mean, it sounds like this was just a conspiracy theory that got some legs for whatever reason and is now taken hold.
Right. There was that for sure. But then you have the president making a comment about it needs to be looked into. And now you have Congress saying it needs to be looked into, which I think are going to try to pull the FBI and NASA and the Energy Department together to investigate this. I mean, if that's what they do, they do. Do I think on the surface only that that's a good use of manpower and time? The answer is no. I mean, I may be proven wrong, but I don't think I will be. But we'll see.
I think one of my favorite theories is that these are all alien abductions and now they're being used to work together. I don't know. But tell me, how do conspiracy theories start and how do they start to go viral? I mean, you mentioned that there are now members of Congress and the president saying, well, we need to look into it. But they're not the ones who started these, I don't think.
No, I think what happened is that because of the elements the three of us have already talked about, a former Air Force general that worked on a lot of classified stuff, apparently including some aspect undefined of UFOs, and, other people that, I think people probably have perceptions about what they do or don't do, but that they've clustered these people together. Now, it's beyond me why they clustered these particular 10 or 11. I bet there are more that would fit this same profile. And the combination of that, and typically conspiracy theorists are driven by, first of all, they're very leery of of government in general, and don't think the government's by and large credible. They also feel like they're powerless, and that they see a way, if they jump into this and start agreeing with people online about, yeah, that probably is, and maybe Russia was involved, or our own government was involved, or whatever, or even aliens, I suppose you could throw that in too, then it gives there's an answer to it. Because there isn't an answer if you want to listen to me, which saying they aren't connected, and they're just individual, sad, unfortunate situations where people have passed away, either with their own hand or somebody else harming them. But it's that draw of community, sort of common theme on a conspiracy theory, and then it grows. Do some of us buy it? And the answer is no. Obviously, I don't buy it. But that's the draw. And unfortunately, between social media and all the different sites you can go to and the rabbit holes you can run down where you can find, excuse me, a gazillion people. If we got off the air and got on the internet, we could find a gazillion people that would want to talk about this being a conspiracy theory. And so that's what, in my view, that's what drives most of it.
Brad, you're taking all the fun out of this. But frankly, I agree with you. And I thought the same thing when I started hearing about it. And, conspiracy theories are fun, but they can be problematic when they end up doing what you talked about, which is drawing resources away from more important things. To the extent that we have the FBI looking at this, or maybe Congress doing some sort of inquiry when they could be doing other things, more important things, because it at the end of the day, and we've only got about a minute left here, Brad, this is probably just a coincidence.
Right. And quickly, think about these scientists, the 10 or 12 or whatever the number you choose to pick, are just, a part of society. Scientists have the same issues that the rest of us do. And if I'll throw on top of that 50,000 people take their lives a year in this country. and that maybe some of these folks fit that, wouldn't be that much different than the rest of society.
Yeah, interesting.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Brad. That was Brad Garrett, ABC News crime and terrorism analyst on missing scientists.
And I have to say that at the end of the day, I agree. And I thought the same thing, okay, well, let's see what the connection is. And there really isn't a very, very interesting connection between the scientists. They just all happen to be scientists.
Interesting.
Yeah,
well,
but I mean,
working on highly classified stuff.
Yeah.
Look, I just think it doesn't have to be aliens. It's just interesting to me which ones get legs and keep going and which ones just kind of stay in the corner.
Right. Well, Michael Aaron Jane, the man accused of killing a Santaquin police officer with a semi-truck in 2024, is now suing Utah County. We'll talk about why when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Democrats in the Utah legislature are speaking out about allegations made against Salt Lake City Council member Ava Lopez Chavez.
Democratic state lawmakers have released a statement responding to allegations outlined in a report from the Salt Lake Tribune. In that report, 4 people, including one of Lopez Chavez's fellow city council members and 2 current state lawmakers, accuse her of making unwanted sexual advances. Utah House and Senate Democrats are now saying, quote, allegations of this nature must be met with care and a commitment to due process. At the same time, we cannot accept a culture where those who speak out are dismissed or doubted. The statement goes on to say, quote, there's no room in public service for any allegations of sexual assault or behavior that harms others. Lopez Chavez responded to the Tribune's report through her attorney, saying nothing inappropriate ever happened. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
BYU says they've placed a math professor on administrative leave after he was accused of exchanging sexual messages with a person he thought was an underage girl. A statement from the school goes on to say they condemn abuse in any form, and the university will fully cooperate with law enforcement as this investigation moves forward. They also say the school is committed to offering support to any students who might be affected by this news. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, people claiming unemployment benefits jumped this past week.
214,000 out-of-work Americans filed for state jobless benefits in the week ending April 18th, 6,000 more than the previous week. The less volatile 4-week moving average rose by only 750, suggesting some stability in the labor market and fewer layoffs, despite a sluggish pace of hiring.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is off 82 points at this hour. That's about 0.2%. We're at 49,411. Coming up, showers move out this afternoon. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:02. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Make game day yours with the Utah Mammoth app. Get your tickets, order food and drinks without leaving your seat, track live stats, and stream every game with Mammoth Plus, all in one place. It's the ultimate game day essential, designed for Mammoth fans. Stay connected to your hometown team and never miss a moment. Download the Utah Mammoth app today on iPhone and Android. Turn on push notifications and make every day game day. Tusks up.
In Utah, over 200,000 families have trusted RGS Exteriors with their homes, and there's a reason for that. Our family's business has been serving Utah homeowners for 5 generations. In fact, there's no exterior company in Utah with a longer history, not even close. That kind of reputation doesn't happen by accident. It happens year after year, award after award, referral after referral, and home after home. At RGS Exteriors, we specialize in siding, windows, gutters, and decking that protect and transform your home.
Hi, Tim Brown here, RGS Exteriors. My family has been building and improving homes in Utah for 5 generations, and taking care of homeowners is something we take very serious. With over 1,300 5-star Google reviews, 21 Best of State awards, and our 10-year workmanship warranty, homeowners know they can trust RGS. Over 200,000 families across Utah have trusted RGS Exteriors with their home, and so can you. Schedule your free estimate today at 801-280-3110, 801-280-3110.
For over 22 years, Speaking on Business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
The Children's Center Utah provides a unique service in our communities by meeting the needs of very young children and their caregivers. Here's another Little Minds Big Hope message from Dr. Jennifer Mitchell, the Children's Center Vice President of Clinical Strategy and Innovation.
Did you know early mental health support can change the course of a child's life? The earlier children get help, the better their long-term outcomes can be. Find out more at childrencenterutah.org.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. And back to you, Cormac.
Light delays both directions on the 201 freeway in Magna between 8400 west and 7200 west, and eastbound Pioneer crossing in Lehigh, seeing some pretty heavy delays as you try to get onto I-15. Nothing like we had earlier this morning with that crash, though. I-15 is clean and clear all across the Wasatch Front. Really, most of your roadways otherwise also running with no delays. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We've had some scattered rain showers this morning. Most of those showers will be gone by this afternoon. And we'll see a high of 58 degrees. We get up to 65. Tomorrow is sunshine, 66 on Saturday. Right now it's 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Here's one of those sort of gifts that keeps on giving. Michael Aaron Jane, the man accused of killing a Santaquin police officer with a semi-truck in 2024, is now suing Utah County, and there are actually a flurry of lawsuits here. One was filed by his alleged victim's wife against him personally.
I remember talking about that.
Right. He's filed a lawsuit, and the lawsuit, as I'm trying to read it, it's handwritten. It's very hard to read. But what he's saying is this, that he was found indigent in 2024, didn't have a public defender, and because the crimes alleged to have occurred like in April or May of 2024, didn't have a public defender until July of 2024, and stated that in that interim, while he didn't have an attorney, there was some evidence that was lost, that an attorney could have gathered that. Even one of his public defender, who now serves as a judge, said, according to him, that she believed that, this is a quote, exculpatory evidence was lost in the capital murder case due to the fact that no investigator was assigned to Jane, for the first 2 months. And I assume that they're talking about accident reconstruction or things like that may have been of some value. He did have some attorneys appointed for him in 2024, but then they withdrew for funding issues. He's actually fired some. They've come back. I mean, it's kind of a mess.
Yeah. So the thing that stood out to me when I first saw this story is that the lawsuit alleges that the county failed to provide adequate funding for, quote, high quality defense. Although, look, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. Because he's firing his attorneys and then complaining that he doesn't have attorneys. So I understand that everybody has the right to an attorney who will do a good job for them. And I wonder, though, if he's maybe jealous of Tyler Robinson and the attention that case has gotten, and maybe he thinks he needs some more eyeballs on his.
Well, in all candor, and of course I'm involved in it a little bit, helping Utah County with their public defender selection. there was more money provided on the Tyler Robinson case than on the Michael Jane case.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. And so he's saying, wait a minute, why would that case deserve more? So here's a problem we have with death penalty cases in Utah, is that you can't, you can hire anyone you want. If you have enough money, you can hire any attorney you want. But if you have a court-appointed lawyer, they have to be death qualified.
Yes.
Rule 8 qualified.
Right.
We've talked about this before. Yep. There are very few of us attorneys in Utah who are Rule 8 qualified, because you have to have done murder cases before. You have to have had training before. You have to have even co-chaired a death penalty case.
Yeah.
So you know, when you get a number of death penalty cases, and unfortunately, or I don't know what it is about Utah County, but they have a lot of death penalty cases. I'm sure they have more than any other in the state. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. Jeff Gray is a very good county attorney down there. He's done a great job. But they have a lot of cases that maybe he felt and his staff feels that they have no choice but to pursue with the public as a death penalty. Now, if it happened in Salt Lake County or most any other county, you have a public defender's office that has a budget to handle those cases. This Utah County is a little bit unique in that their public defender budget does not budget for death penalty cases. They'll do murders, they'll do rape, robberies, DUIs, but we're not going to do death penalty case. So when they come in, those are sort of a la carte, and they say, okay, we'll hire outside counsel, and so you have to go to this pool of qualified lawyers and say, hey, will you take a case? And it's easier said than done. And my wife works with the federal courts, and she, of course, oversees death penalty cases from the federal level, and more importantly, appeals of state cases that go to the federal court. And one of the things that comes up in every instance, virtually every one, was what was the quality of the defense? Mm-hmm. You know, was there what we call ineffective assistance of counsel? And that's not something you want to deal with 20 or 30 days later, as we are with the Carter case down in Utah County,
right?
Where they determined that his attorneys,
40 years,
actually the prosecution in that case had done some things that were untoward. But you know, you just don't want to be dealing with that. So you want to get good attorneys on the front end, so you don't have to deal with appeals on the back end 20, 30, like you say, 40 years from now.
So there's another crime story that caught my eyeballs. And of course, anybody who has been arrested and charged, presumed innocent until proven guilty. But there's a BYU professor of mathematics who was arrested after allegedly sending explicit photos to a person posing, an undercover agent posing as a 17-year-old girl. So he has been arrested on 2 charges of enticing a minor and distributing material harmful to minors, including sexually explicit photos of himself. Now, he still has a page up on BYU's website talking about his wonderful family, has a picture of him with a daughter on his shoulders. But so far, I haven't seen any reaction from the university. And I will also point out that today is graduation day at BYU.
Ouch. Yeah, so I'm looking at the probable cause statement because he is booked currently in the Box Elder County Jail. It's alleged that he did contact, and this was done in Box Elder County for whatever reason. Maybe he lives there or something.
He lives in Springville.
Okay, well, that's far from Box Elder County. But anyway, whatever the communications were in Box Elder County. He thought he was addressing, according to the probable cause statement, he's absolutely presumed innocent, that he was trying to have hook up with a 17-year-old female. Of course, it was probably a 40-year-old cop,
male agent, right?
Matter.
We don't know, but yeah.
And so in the course of trying to make this woman's acquaintance, he does a lot of things, including talk about some very graphic sexual acts, some very graphic sexual positions. There are the sharing of photographs, images. So he's charged with enticing a minor, which is, hey, let's get together on the internet, 2 counts of that, and then distributing material harmful to a minor, which would be the sharing of images. So these are serious crimes. They're felonies. They're not, off the charts crimes, but they would. In Utah, we have the sex offender registry, obviously, and typically crimes involving children will be a lifetime registry for the sex offender registry, where sex crimes involving adults are often a 10-year registry. So this could affect him for the rest of his life.
Well, and I'm pretty sure the process at BYU is that he will, at the very minimum, be placed on administrative leave.
Yeah.
So I also want to say there's another quick BYU story, and this is about a basketball player, Kennard Davis Jr. He was arrested and charged with a DUI in November. He pled not guilty, and news yesterday broke that the Provo City Attorney's Office withdrew the DUI charge because they had the toxicology report come back. There was nothing there.
Absolutely nothing. So they did a toxicology report. He must have not done well on what we call the field sobriety test, or there was something going on.
He got a speeding ticket.
They charged. It started with a speeding ticket. They charged him with a DUI because they felt that he was impaired. They drew his blood and I think they got his breath, and nothing showed up. Nothing illegal showed up in his system at all. So the prosecuting attorney said, "Okay, we're going to drop the DUI, but plead guilty to the speeding," or something like that. But it was unfortunate on a number of levels. And first of all, he's African American, and you wonder sometimes if there was something going on where he was. I hate to say that, but sometimes you just people tend to jump to conclusions. But anyway, his charges have been dismissed, and I think rightfully so. Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about insider trading and Kalshi. It's a really interesting story to me that Kalshi, the prediction market, has fined and suspended 3 political candidates for betting on their own races. But there's some other Kalshi news as well. Thank you.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. Drugstore insoles, custom insoles. I spent thousands of dollars. I bought all these products, and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet, and the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Teresa actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
They wanted to make sure that I got something that my feet felt good in, not somebody else's feet. I love the fact that I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes. I have boots, I have cowboy boots, I have running shoes, I have walking shoes, I have flat shoes, I have heels. It makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store. I'm Teresa, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy. Did you get hit with a huge tax penalty this year because of your health insurance last year? Have you spoken with your accountant to find out what your monthly premium really cost you after the government took back that subsidy? I'm Mike at My Policy Quote, and I help families so they don't need to find out the hard way if your income changed. You picked up extra work, sold property, or just had a good year? That tax credit could have cost you thousands. My name is Mike, and at My Policy Quote, my Freedom of Choice plan saves clients 30 to 60%. Keep your doctors, lower your out-of-pockets, and use a national PPO network. If you pay your own health insurance on COBRA, uninsured, or employer plan is just too much, even self-employed or small businesses, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com. All my clients tell me they wish they switched sooner and they could have saved all those thousands of dollars over the years. Don't delay. Call today.
Get your yard ready with Rich Lawn. Spring is here, and it's time to bring your lawn back to life. Start with Rich Lawn Turf Food, an organic-based fertilizer that feeds your soil and keeps your grass greener, longer. Looking for professional-grade results? Organic 100 delivers the nutrients your lawn needs to thrive. And for the finishing touches, Rich Lawn has you covered with Iron Rich for yellowing lawns, Easy Green Grass Seed, and Grow Rich Garden Fertilizer. Put in the work, trust Rich Lawn, and enjoy a yard you'll be proud of. Available at Home Depot and independent garden centers.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend?
How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency?
Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son and they're demanding $500,000.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Cameras, artificial intelligence.
On one hand, it's a surveillance state issue. Like, are we being watched too much?
And networks you don't even know exist are tracking you right now.
It helped us in a number of investigations to bring people to justice that likely would not have happened.
Who's watching and what are they doing with it?
We have a right to privacy in the United States, and I hope that we can maintain it.
KSL explores the tension around our growing surveillance state, tonight at 10.
Any Hour Services free furnace sale is going on right now. If you haven't scheduled your free estimate yet, do it now. Call Any Hour Services today or schedule online at anyhourservices.com.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
Before we talk about Kalshi and the prediction market, I do want to mention that we had a listener, thank you so much, for letting us know that BYU has issued a statement on the math professor who has been arrested. He's been immediately placed on administrative leave. So thank you for that.
You would expect that, and it could be worse. I mean, like I said to you during the break, if a person is on a sex offender registry, they're not going to be teaching.
Right, but that takes a while for that whole process to play out. Okay, so this story I thought was really interesting because I think there's two stories and they're different, but prediction market Kalshi has fined and suspended 3 political candidates for betting on their own races.
Kalshi now says 3 congressional candidates have been suspended from its platform for betting on their own races. Those candidates are Ezekiel Enriquez in Texas, Matt Klein in Minnesota, and Mark Moran in Virginia. Kalshi is an online prediction market, which allows people to wager on the outcome of world events.
That was ABC's Mike Dubusky. You got to be kidding me. I mean,
I'm like, no, right?
So Congress didn't suspend them, or wherever they work, but the Kalshi suspended them and said,
well, they just said you can't keep betting on yourself.
Can't bet on yourself.
They kind of said you should bet on yourself, but not in this way.
Right.
So one of those candidates is Mark Moran, and he said he's been waiting for this. So here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
Mark Moran, a Virginia Senate candidate, was fined $6,000. He says he was trying to prove a point.
I've been waiting for this. And why is that? It's to call attention to something much larger. How elections can be bought.
Prediction markets, which have exploded in popularity, are essentially a stock market for real-world events. People can bet on everything from what the weather will be to when celebrities will get married.
I don't know if I believe that I've been waiting for this and I did this to bring attention to something.
Well, I mean, he could have legitimately been making a point there. So, look, it's one of the things, too, that's interesting is we've had this conversation about, is this gambling? Is a prediction market like Kalshi, Polymarket, are those platforms gambling? And certainly the state of Utah, we think it is, and we have explicitly put that into our code now.
Right. The Attorney General wrote an article about it, an opinion, and said it's absolutely gambling. And in Utah, gambling is waging money on something for which the result has an element of chance. And,
right.
If you're doing gambling, you just can't. It's illegal in Utah in every respect. We don't even have lotteries or anything like that.
Yeah, we're one of 2 states.
Right.
But people are doing it, whether it's on sports or politics. But this leads me to, I think, the second story, which I'm even more concerned about. People who are making bank using prediction markets on actions in Iran. And it was everything from how long will the Ayatollah remain the leader, right? Because they don't allow bets on death, but they do allow bets on when a political figure may step down or no longer be the leader, and when President Trump will send troops, or if he will send them into Iran, or how about when a when an announcement of a ceasefire will be given, and when people are placing bets 15 minutes before that announcement, and then they make hundreds of thousands of dollars, that really, really concerns me a lot.
Right, because obviously you can manipulate it. You can. Let's say I want to bet on whether or not I'm going to wear a blue shirt tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like I can.
Then you do.
I can
right?
absolutely affect
Or you
that.
and I can talk about it, and then somebody else can bet on it. It's like, yeah, we already know,
right?
And so I think the concerns about insider trading. I mean, the White House had to tell people that their own people stop betting on events in Iran. That is mind-boggling as well. But look, there's everything from, will President Trump send troops into Iran? Will he post again praising Allah? Those are the types of bets. And remember, I've told you, I've seen news stories that say the prediction markets are saying that the chance of Christ returning before the end of 2026 are rising, right? I mean, you literally can bet on anything, but there are people that are placing these bets on what is happening in the Middle East, and they're placing them in really short time frames before those events do happen, and then people are making a ton of money.
Yeah, there's one thing. These prediction markets, is that what they're called? Prediction markets?
Yeah.
Have been interesting in that they are a good way. They seem to be an accurate way of predicting events because generally, when I studied these early on, they were helpful to help people understand what might happen because it tended to be that the majority was usually right. In fact, there was surprisingly a number of people that were right. But having people be able to bet on those things actually could change the equation.
Oh, yeah.
It could make the difference in what happens. Like, what's going to happen when we're going to bomb Iran again, or when the new Ayatollah steps down for whatever reason.
Right.
And where certain people have absolute control over those situations. Yeah. Absolute control.
When is the first Iranian ship going to be bombed? Because President Trump said this morning, right, that it's a shoot and kill for small Iranian boats. So you can place bets on when the first one will be destroyed. So look, we mentioned Utah has banned prediction markets. They're with the no gambling. The Trump administration has sued states trying to ban those prediction markets. Yeah. Saying, you can place on it. Sued 3 states. Utah's not one of them yet. It's Connecticut, Arizona, and Illinois. But look, it's just like, okay, like we should not be able to place bets on stuff like that, I don't think.
What's going to happen, Holly, is this. There's going to be a very clear case of an insider trading where somebody made a bet on something for which they had some control, or someone they knew had absolute control in the outcome, and people are going to become enraged, and Congress or somebody's going to start putting some laws into place for this platform. Right now, the administration seems to be supporting it very much and saying hands off, to the states and saying we've got this. But Utah and others are saying, look, at its core, it's nothing more than gambling, and gambling's illegal. So you can put any name to it, or any face to it, or any sort of definition to it. But if you're putting money down on something that it's chance, then that's gambling.
So there are a number of critics in Congress. A lot of them are Democrats, and they have said they believe this is blatant profiting off the presidency because one of the people that is profiting off of this is Eric Trump, his son. And they're waiting for the midterms to do something about it. But this is from an Associated Press article. But whether that happens is anyone's guess, or to be more specific, tens of thousands of guesses. In polymarket trading, those betting that Trump would get impeached by the end of his term were putting the chances at 13% at the start of the year. But that has changed dramatically after his, quote, civilization wipeout threat and calls from Democrats to oust him from office. By Tuesday, the odds had jumped to 66%.
Well, and I suppose it's also jumped a lot because of the fact that midterms are coming up and there is a push now. It seems to be a movement that Democrats are going to gain something. And if
they gain both bodies, I think he will be impeached and removed from office.
They'll start.
Wow. And now I'm not placing a bet.
Right.
I'm not placing a bet.
Thank you. Right.
I'm not placing
and
a bet.
Removed.
Well, because impeachment happens in the House, removal happens in the Senate. So I think it's probably pretty safe to say the Democrats will gain control of the House. It's still not certain if they'll gain control of the Senate. So he can be impeached in the House,
right?
But the removal from office happens in the Senate, and that you would have to have either enough Democrats or enough crossover Republicans to actually remove him from office.
Yeah, well, I think that like artificial intelligence, there are things about prediction markets that we don't know, that we need to start feeling out, that we need to maybe get to the point where we're regulating them in some respects so that they're not abused. Because anytime you have something like that, it's going to be abused, it's going to be taken advantage of. And to the extent that we can get a hold on of it early, I mean, if you have to exclude political candidates from participating on a platform, what are we doing wrong?
Well, betting on their own races.
Own race, like, give me a break.
Well, how is that different than sports betting where you're going to throw the race, right? You're going to throw the game.
Baseball, banned for life,
Right, exactly. Well, he's been unbanned by the president.
Yeah.
Okay, look, this story, I saw the story on social media. I haven't seen it in the news, so we'll be breaking it to our listeners. But Utah State University is celebrating the grand opening of its Monument Valley Education Building, and it is gorgeous, gorgeous. We're going to talk about the significance of this with Utah's Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson next after this break.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. We are just getting word that former BYU football player Parker Kingston is taking a plea deal in his court case in southern Utah. Kingston was accused of rape, and his preliminary hearing was supposed to go forward today, but instead the plea deal was announced. We have a team in the courtroom in Washington, and we'll have updates as we get them. We also have more breaking news from BYU. This is a big announcement from BYU basketball superstar A.J. Debonsa today.
Today I'm officially declaring for the 2026 NBA Draft.
The move comes just after his freshman season in Provo. The 19-year-old is expected to be one of the top prospects in the draft. A meteor from the Lyrid meteor shower exploded as it hit Earth's atmosphere at 4:50 this morning, lighting up the sky over Utah. If you have a northeast-facing security camera, it might be worth reviewing the footage to see if you capture the explosion. Our top national story this hour, they say you should always bet on yourself, but not when you're running for Congress. ABC's Mike Dubusky.
Kalshi now says 3 congressional candidates have been suspended from its platform for betting on their own races. Those candidates are Ezekiel Enriquez in Texas, Matt Klein in Minnesota, and Mark Moran in Virginia. Kalshi is an online prediction market, which allows people to wager on the outcome of world events.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 95 points. We're at 49,394. Coming up, we get a break from the rain before another storm comes in. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Spring is calling, and we're not sending it to voicemail. I bet you're thinking about heading south this spring, but what if you tried something different, like Cedar City and Bryan had? With gas prices going up, this is the kind of trip that gives you more vacation for the tank you're already on. Start with Three Peaks OHV trails that say, go ahead, take the scenic route, then cool it down with disc golf. Because yes, you can be competitive and outdoorsy at the same time. Next, Thor's Hideout. Legendary hike, epic payoff. And if you want the kind of ride you'll talk about all week, hit the Iron Hills Trail System, now an official recreation trail. Just need to chill? Frontier Homestead Park, Cedar City Veterans Park, or play around at Cedar City Golf Course. Then finish strong with local dining, shopping, and small town charm in the historic downtown of Cedar City and Parowan. Spring is calling. Answer it with a one-tank getaway at visitcedarcity.com.
I've got about a dozen suits in my closet, and I love them all. But a couple years ago, it became a little bit more difficult every year to button the slacks on the suits. And I ended up moving buttons around. I ended up drilling holes in my belt, of all things. I ended up finally deciding some of these pants just aren't going to work anymore. Did I decide to maybe go buy a dozen new suits? No. I contacted Soda Diet Nutrition. I said, look, I need some help. I've never dieted before. I've never needed to diet before, but I do now. They put me on a plan. They gave me some ideas of what I should start eating and when I should start eating it. I didn't want to take any medication. I didn't want to take any injections. They said, we don't do that. They signed me up with a nutritionist, a coach who contacts me every week, and I've been on the program now for 2 weeks and a couple days, and I'm not lying. I have lost 14 pounds over the course of about 17 days. It's really been a huge thing for me. SOTA Diet and Nutrition, you can find them at SOTA, S-O-T-A, dietandnutrition.com. Remember, join them for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Progressive's Home Quote Explorer helps you easily find and buy the right coverage for you. It's everything you've always wanted. Well, I mean, as far as a website that lets you shop, quote, and buy insurance in one place. But hey, maybe that is everything you've always wanted. Yeah, people have different types of dreams. And if all you've ever been searching for is a website that helps you choose home insurance rates and coverage, boy, do we have great news about Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at UCCU.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
Well, we don't have any delays on I-15 all across the Wasatch Front. Where we do have some slowdowns is westbound I-84. This is in Weber County, approaching Riverdale. We may have a crash out there transitioning. But just that we also see some delays in Lehigh, eastbound Pioneer Crossing, approaching I-15. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
58 today, and the scattered rain showers should all be gone by this afternoon. Then we get plenty of sunshine tomorrow and a high of 65. On Saturday evening, the clouds return ahead of another storm that arrives on Sunday. Right now, let me get a check here of our current temperature. We're at 46 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So I probably am on social media too much. However, sometimes I see stories that I think should be talked about that nobody else has picked up yet. So we get to talk about this story. This is a thing I saw posted by the Lieutenant Governor yesterday, and she was posting pictures from Monument Valley about a Utah State University education building, and I was really intrigued about this. So there's this new building. It looks really beautiful, and there's actually a story behind it. So we have the Lieutenant Governor on the line with us today. Thank you for joining us, Lieutenant Governor Henderson.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So I wonder if you could just set up for our listeners, first of all, where is this location? Because it looks and sounds very remote.
Yes. So Monument Valley is in the southeastern corner of the state. It's a little bit west of the Four Corners area, but it is on the Navajo Reservation. It's we call it the Utah Strip, the portion of the Navajo Nation that is in Utah. It's very remote. Not a lot of people live there, but it's beautiful country. If you've seen Forrest Gump and you remember the scene where Forrest Gump is running and he's got the Monument Valley behind him, and then he stops running and goes back. That's in Utah. That's Monument Valley, Utah. And there was Utah State University had a building there for many years that they would use as an extension to teach students. That was in an old hospital, and it was, very run down. I caught wind of this a few years ago, and anyway, yesterday it was the grand opening of the new beautiful building, and there is quite a story about how that came to be.
So, Lieutenant Governor, I've seen your pictures, and the very first picture that you post, it's got these little girls that are just grinning, and they look so happy to be there. But this is a building for higher ed, right?
It is. It is a building for higher ed, but because it's tribal land, there's always some complications with how to do things. So this USU building was actually built on the campus of the high school, Monument Valley High School down there. because San Juan School District owns some land. So that's a little piece of state land there in that tribal area. And they offered to allow Utah State University to build their building there as long as they were able to provide CTE and concurrent enrollment courses for those high school students. So there's an elementary school right there as well. So you've got elementary, you've got the junior high and high school, then you've got this higher education facility that now will be able to help teach skill building. They've got nursing courses, CNA. Now they'll have welding and all of the things that a technical college or these University of Utah or Utah State University extensions have elsewhere. They're going to have access to that now down in Monument Valley.
And just being familiar with that area myself, Lieutenant Governor, it is an area that there's just a dearth of, if you want to go to school, you want to attend college, you want to do certain things, there's nowhere to go that's anywhere near there. I mean, Utah Tech University is clear across the state going west. This is a way for kids and young adults to get education and to get services right there through Utah State, right in their community, it looks like.
Right. So the closest campus, Utah State University campus, to this area was in Blanding, which is a 150-mile round trip for folks down there. So it was just a really challenging commute, challenging access to that higher education opportunity. And then they had this little old building. It was an old hospital that they were using, Utah State University was using for their campus previously. And I caught wind a few years ago that it was just, it was this rundown building, and when it rained, it would flood, and it was just it was not ideal. And so I went to see it in January of 2022, and it was far worse than you could possibly imagine. Much of the building is sealed off. There's mud everywhere because the hillside behind the building just seeps in. The mud seeps in under the doors and through the windows and even through the roof every time it rains. The electrical situation is bad. There's black mold everywhere. I mean, it's just a really, really horrific building. And a few years ago, one of the students said to the director down there, would you allow students in any other part of the state to attend classes in a building like this? And she did it in this respectful, kind way. She wasn't, but it was very. It just kind of took the director back, and he said, no, we wouldn't. And she said, it's because we're Native Americans, right? And that is how they felt. They felt like because they were Native Americans, they were on the reservation, they were far away, remote, they were forgotten. They didn't deserve the respect and the dignity that a decent building would afford them. And I caught wind of this. A bunch of people caught wind of this and decided, you know what, that's unacceptable. And we were able to get resources pooled from the state, got legislators to buy in. The governor bought in. Utah State University bought in. The Navajo Nation appropriated some money. There were some donors, some very big donors, the Norda Foundation and others who want to remain anonymous. And it pooled the resources and created this just breathtaking, amazing, beautiful building that won't just serve for higher education purposes, but will be a community gathering place. And I think a generational pivot in that area to open doors for opportunity.
Yeah, it's amazing. Some of the pictures that I see that you post on your social media accounts with the windows just offer some really stunning views. I wonder, what is this named?
Well, so you're catching me off guard here. I don't know that I could remember to pronounce it, but there is, yes, we're looking at it real quick. It is a Navajo name, the name of this building, and it means, it has something to do with education. House of Learning, I think, is the Navajo name, means House of Learning. But the sign out front is in Navajo, and it's incredible. Every detail with this building was built with the Navajo culture in mind. So it faces true east. It has it kind of goes in a circle, the circle of life that the Navajos practice in their belief with, the young people, I believe on the east, and then when you're a young adult or teenagers on the west, and then it moves to the east and the north and so the adult learning center is placed, in the right place of the building according to the cycle that the Navajos believe in, and it is it's beautiful, and it's so meaningful. It was built with intention and meaning. And, the same year that we got an appropriation request for this building back in 2022, I think there was another building at another university that I won't name that was asking for $90 million, right, for a building, and then had to come back and ask for more. This was $5 million. I think total cost was about $14 million. And it sounds like a lot of money, but for a higher ed building, it's not much, but it's so meaningful. And the way they were able to build this, to provide that dignity and that access and that sense of respect and opportunity and possibility for the Navajos in that area, in Monument Valley and the surrounding communities, is just, it made my heart full yesterday.
Lieutenant Governor Henderson, we've got about 30 seconds left, but is this a facility that we can expect in the next several years members of the Navajo Nation to perhaps get associate's degrees or bachelor's degrees from Utah State University?
Yes, all of the above. And I think even starting this year, there will be some graduates that will be graduating from the Monument Valley, the old Monument Valley extension. Certainly a lot of graduating happening right now, and this definitely people will be getting their certificates, their associate's degrees, and their bachelor's degrees from that facility.
All right.
Incredible news.
Thank you so much for joining us, Lieutenant Governor, and I'm really happy Inside Sources got to break this story. All right, next. We may need to get creative with summer vacations this year. I'm going to talk about some of my experiences with driving to fun locations within, driving distance of my home and not staying overnight. Day trips. Stay with us.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror, I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I could understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness, something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, andcollar.com.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
A multi-billion-dollar settlement is paying claims for up to 21 years. If you were exposed to weed killers at work or at home, your rights are affected. If you or your family has or had non-Hodgkin lymphoma, you could receive $6,000 to $165,000 or more. This settlement impacts you even if you're not sick, because this blood cancer can take 10 to 15 years to appear. If you stay in the settlement, you give up your right to sue. Learn more at weedkillerclass.com or call 888-403-8201. Paid for by the Roundup Settlement.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free exit info kit. 800-290-7100. That's 800-290-7100.
We finally realized something.
We wanted more time for family, faith, and service.
And less time giving every Saturday to the house.
At Ovation Homes, active adults 55 plus can enjoy beautifully designed, low-maintenance homes in a welcoming community built for this season of life.
More peace, less upkeep.
And more time for what matters most.
Learn more about Ovation Homes' newest communities in West Point, Syracuse, and Layton. Visit ovationhomes.com. That's ovationhomes.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
Let's be responsible.
Yeah, absolutely.
That counts.
Safe, secure, and built for comfort. With locations in Syracuse, West Point, and Layton. Downsize without compromise. With a home that truly fits your lifestyle. To learn more and see all the amenities, visit ovationhomesutah.com. That's ovationhomesutah.com. Your best years start at Ovation Homes.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
You know, as we're starting to weigh into the summer, a lot of us are talking about what are your summer vacation plans? What are you going to do? Well, a lot of us don't have 2 weeks off, or a lot of us don't take 2 weeks off the way
Not
we should.
in a row.
But yeah, and sometimes you can actually do things that we have discovered in our home that you can go out and back in a single day and see amazing things and enjoy amazing things without having to get a hotel or without having to jump on an airplane. I mean, getting to an airport and getting on a plane can be a hassle. But I know gas prices are bad right now, but you
That's
can do
the trade-off.
You can do day trips that are just, and especially in Utah, that are really amazing.
I think I wanted to talk about that, and I think it would be great to hear from our listeners if they have a favorite day trip or any plans for day trips, and text us 57500. But one of the things I think I mentioned a day or two ago that I did a few years ago was trying to say, okay, how can I be a tourist in my own state? What are things that I haven't seen? And I'll tell you, I just was telling you during the break, I've never been to Antelope Island. I've never seen it. I've never been out to the Golden Spike historic site. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Well, it takes some planning, and I haven't done that.
I've been to all those things. You know why we do these bike rides, these century rides, and they go out there. So I see them.
Yeah.
But I'm driving. I'm
riding,
pedaling as fast as I can. You know, from where we live up in the Ogden Valley, you can go east up to Monte Cristo, this incredibly beautiful area, and the drive. I mean, I have a motorcycle, so it's beautiful for a drive, but it's beautiful for anything. And spring, summer, it's incredible. I love going north into the Cache Valley area up by where the Beaver Mountain Ski Resort is. There's that Logan Canyon.
Yeah.
It's just spectacular. I talked about this yesterday, the Bear River Bird Refuge. You can go up there. And there's a car tour that goes around this incredibly big marshy area.
Yeah.
And you can see waterfowl that you would never see. I mean, you'd have to go to some sort of aviary to see some of the things that you're up there. But there's Bear Lake. You know, that's a day ride.
Yeah.
Fun restaurants, fun places to eat.
I don't know if they're going to have raspberries this year. I haven't asked about that.
Right.
Look, one of the reasons we wanted to do day trips earlier is because we didn't want to have to pay for a hotel, right? We wanted to be able to go out and come back on the same day, even if you take your lunch with you or whatever. But those are some of the things, in fact, that I did with Jazzy, who accompanied me today. And we went and we have seen some petroglyphs. We've been able to do some short hikes. We're not big hikers, but able to do some walking around and seeing some of these things and still sleep in our own beds at night. So
you're not far from Timpanogos area.
No,
too,
no, we're not. And so,
around.
In fact, I'm only 5 minutes from the mouth of the canyon, American Fork
Canyon is gorgeous and riding all the way up into there, you can go into Provo Canyon through the
Alpine Loop.
Yeah,
through the Alpine Loop.
Yeah, Sundance Ski Resort.
Yeah, that's right. And it is really beautiful. We do that. We also have done like heading south. So it depends on is a day trip an hour? Is it 2 hours? We've gone to Cove Fort several times and gone around that early fort, Pioneer Fort. We've gone down to Moab, right? That is still a day trip. It's a little bit of a longer day trip, but if you start early, you can get down there and back in a day. From where I live in Utah County, I would say we have gone to Vernal as well, although that's longer and farther away.
Schlep, yeah.
But Dinosaur National Monument up there is it's so fun, right? It's just like, oh, you want to see real dinosaur bones? This is a place to go, man.
I'm not a gambler, but it's not far to get to Wendover. I mean, it's 100 and some odd miles.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad drive going west out there.
And you go through the Salt Flats.
Yeah, you go through the Salt Flats, which are interesting. And when you get there, I mean, the casinos, although, like I said, I'm not a gambler, but they do have some fun restaurants and some fun. There's always entertainment. There's always something going on there. You can go even just for a day and just hear live music. It's fun.
Yeah, there's this is a long time ago, but the Heber Valley Railroad, I took a trip on that. It was like a fall trip or something, and but they have that up there. There's just so many opportunities. I think if we were going to leave from Utah County and head south, what would you recommend that I take my family to go and see?
Well, I like Juab County. There's a lot going on there, especially if you get into the hills to the west there. You can go up through what's the name of the canyon? I can't think of it right now. But it's really pretty up there, and it's not far from you where you are.
Yeah.
And you can get into some of those towns and areas up there just before you get to. No, I can't think of it. Nephi. If you turn
sure.
east, it's a beautiful canyon area that takes you into some of the. I think you can almost get into Sanpete County from there.
Here's a really fun one from one of our listeners. That she says, my husband and I would grab my Utah Ghost Towns book and go hunting for history. So that is really fun. My husband has taken some of the kids out hunting for geodes. That is also really fun. That's a fun thing to do.
Where do you go for that? Because my wife, loves rock hunting. I don't know what it is. She got into rocks lately. And so we go to areas where she can find beautiful rocks. I always find geodes, but I'm just by pure luck. I
think geode hunting, so
There's
got
a huge area
Dugway.
in Dugway,
yeah,
right? Everybody
goes
to Dugway.
Yep.
But I've heard that's closed off. I don't know, maybe some of our listeners can tell us that parts of that have been closed off.
I don't know about that, but I think I told you going down to Delta, you can visit the Topaz Internment Camp Museum that is run, I think, very well. And then you can go out to where Topaz, the internment camp, actually was. They disassembled it, so there's not a ton out there, but you certainly can see the footprint of where they had the buildings and things like that. And you can see, broken pottery or broken dishes and stuff. Here's a couple of others. Mirror Lake Highway. Tell me about that, because I don't know that.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. I mean, you can go, you can do a loop up from where we live, up Monte Cristo, go through Evanston and go up the backside of Mirror Lake Canyon and come back down into Camas area and Park City area. That is an incredible. I wonder if it's even open yet. It may be, because sometimes there's so much snow, even at the Monte Cristo area and Mirror Lake Canyon. But you can also do it the other way and start at Park City, go up to Camas, and then go east up Mirror Lake Canyon. It's remember that podcast, the Uinta Triangle?
Oh yeah.
Don't get lost there, but I mean, there's so many lakes. It's really a beautiful area. Yeah, Mirror Lake Canyon. That's a great idea.
Yeah. I'm thinking of things up the canyon that are close to me. So American Fork Canyon has Stewart Falls. That's a hike that I've done with my grandkids. It's not
Falls.
too hard.
Yeah.
Bridalveil Falls is really pretty, but yes, you can go down there close, but it's not one that I've really done a hike on. So that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of things that you can do without doing much of a hike.
Yeah.
You can go up to our ski resorts this time of year. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe not yet.
Don't they have alpine slides?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe not yet.
In the summer.
They still have a little bit too much snow, but I love going up to Snowbird when the snow comes coming off and taking the tram up and then walking down. it's easier than walking up and taking.
Oh
the
yeah,
tram down.
sure, for
They
sure.
used to have a rule that if you walked up, you could ride the tram for free. I
Yeah,
don't know
we
if they
have
do that anymore.
we have another texter, and I've done this several times. But the original old capital of Utah, which is down in Fillmore, so the traditional capital. Do you know why it was there? It was the geographic middle of the state.
Right.
So they wanted to put it in the middle of the state, and then they found out it really wasn't the center of population, even way back when, and so it moved to Salt Lake City. But they have it is really fun to go through that old building. There's a creamery in Beaver, I think, that's really close to the highway. That is really fun, right? To go get ice cream there.
And for you, that's not a far drive.
No.
You're in Utah County, and I'm in Weber County, so
Yeah.
my destinations are normally
Yours are
north,
different.
and yours are normally south.
Yeah.
But you can always go east and west for both of us. But yeah, I mean, I had a great experience this last weekend. I don't know if you could go to. I had to pick up a car in Phoenix, and I had to drive it home.
Yeah.
And I drove through Flagstaff and through the I didn't go west toward Vegas or St. George, but I went sort of the eastern part of the state, and it was just, I was alone. I was in this van, but it was incredible. I mean, it took the old Highway 89, which used to be the north-south route through Utah.
Yeah.
I forget until I get on it just how beautiful that area is, and everything. There were so many parts of that area through part of the Navajo reservation, and just things that were just spectacular.
Yeah, well, that is really fun, and we are going to spend our family. We're going to do some camping up American Fork Canyon in July, so that's your heads up. I won't be here the last week of July because I'll be out of range camping, but that's really a lot of fun. So thanks everybody for weighing in.
Yeah, that was fun. Well, we're learning that New York's new mayor is turning up the heat on absentee luxury homeowners, whatever that means, and the city's wealthiest might soon feel the burn. We'll talk about the latest proposal to tax the rich when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Put your phone on D&D, that means do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D, that means do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. Be the someone who gives their time. Be the someone who lends an ear. Be the someone who takes a step. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN, asking you to join the fight against sexual violence and volunteer in your community. Log on to RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org, to learn how you can be the someone.
This message brought to you by the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network and this station.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
You know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
Yeah, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, anything, you need to tell an adult, someone you know and trust. That can be hard, but speaking up about a problem is what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
11:01 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Democrats in the Utah legislature are speaking about allegations made against Salt Lake County Council member Eva Lopez Chavez.
Democratic state lawmakers have released a statement responding to allegations outlined in a report from the Salt Lake Tribune. In that report, 4 people, including one of Lopez Chavez's fellow city council members and 2 current state lawmakers, accuse her of making unwanted sexual advances. Utah House and Senate Democrats are now saying, quote, allegations of this nature must be met with care and a commitment to due process. At the same time, we cannot accept a culture where those who speak out are dismissed or doubted. The statement goes on to say, quote, there's no room in public service for any allegations of sexual assault or behavior that harms others. Lopez Chavez responded to the Tribune's report through her attorney, saying nothing inappropriate ever happened. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. People claiming unemployment benefits jumped this past week. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan reporting.
214,000 out-of-work Americans filed for state jobless benefits in the week ending April 18th, 6,000 more than the previous week. The less volatile 4-week moving average rose by only 750, suggesting some stability in the labor market and fewer layoffs, despite a sluggish pace of hiring.
And coming up, showers move out this afternoon. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:03.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-990-1551. That's 800-990-1551.
My name is Christine, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, was a healthy 34-year-old, and 3 months later, he was gone. Thankfully, he had life insurance. Ethos made it so easy. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. 100% online, no medical exam. Life insurance didn't take away the loss, but it did give us the space to just grieve.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. ethos.com/game. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hi, it's Greg Skordas, and for years and years, I'd maintained the same weight until I hit 60, and then it started piling on. I don't know why. I could not get that weight to come off. So I contacted SOTA, and I said, look, I need to lose between 20 and 30 pounds. They said, sign up, and so I did. There's no pills. There's no injections. It's just food. I have a nutritionist who helps me, and I told her, look, I can't even wear some of the suits I used to wear. Well, after the first week, I lost 8 pounds. After the second week, I'd lost over 10 pounds. I'm starting to be able to put some of my suits on. I'm starting to be able to put my belt on like I hadn't before. I'm back on the bicycle again. I'm getting outside again, and I'm doing the activities that I did when I was 40 years old. The food is great. My wife is on board. She's cooking consistent with the program, and we're having a lot of fun doing it, and we're sharing a lot of this together. SOTADietNutrition.com. It's a great program. It's worked for me. It'll work for you. SOTA, as in state of the art. SOTADietNutrition.com. SOTA Weight Loss. Join them for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 354, is looking for telecommunication technicians and fiber splicers to fill immediate job openings. Technicians work with network cabling and fiber optics to build communication networks and infrastructure. Come to our job fair on Thursday, April 23rd, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Utah Electrical Training Alliance in West Jordan, 7466 South Redwood Road. The IBEW is offering an amazing job opportunity. Enjoy a competitive wage, paid holidays, and employer-paid health care and retirements. Learn more at our job fair on Thursday, April 23rd, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Utah Electrical Training Alliance in West Jordan, 7466 South Redwood Road. Meet the contractors and tour the training center. Do you want to become a telecom technician? Apply for the 3-year telecom apprenticeship. Get paid while you learn. Invest in yourself. Join the IBEW. Learn more at IBEW354.org.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big with construction loans at UCCU. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a small accident in Murray. This is going to be 5300 South, right at the I-15 junction. It's at the bottom of the exit ramp from northbound to I-15 to the right and partially blocking a right lane at that ramp. You can get around it, just be careful. This is at the ramp that allows you to make a left turn to go westbound on 5300 South. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs in the 50s with scattered showers today. Tomorrow, the sun comes back out and highs get back up to the 60s. We're expecting rain to return next week. Right now, it is 48 and cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Before we talk about the New York mayor plan to tax the rich, I wanted to say that we still had several other texters weighing in on day trips that people can do in Utah. So one texter said specifically to Mirror Lake Highway, but I think this applies around the state, lots of wonderful day hikes that can be accessed along the Mirror Lake Highway. And then another one who tells us that Big Rock Candy Mountain is a good place to go. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, it's south. I've been by there several times. It's a little bit of a remote area. It's a gorgeous highway. I'm trying
Why
to think
is it
what
called that?
Because it looks like a
rock candy.
Yeah, it looks like rock
Oh.
candy. Yeah, and it is. It looks like gumdrop.
Oh my gosh! I have so many fun things
beautiful
to do
hill.
this
Yeah,
summer.
yeah. I went there once on my way to Cedar City, and I don't remember why I was in that area, but it's not the direct route. But
Okay.
anyway.
I want to ask our listeners before our next segment, we're going to be talking about advice for college grads. And I wonder if you would send us your best one piece of advice for somebody graduating from college this either today, next week, and we'll be talking about that in the next segment. That's 57500. You can text us that advice. But I also wanted to talk about this New York Mayor Mamdani planning to tax the rich. And I saw this on Instagram. In fact, our producer, Caitlin Johnston, pointed it out to me. I thought it was super interesting.
When I ran for mayor, I said I was going to tax the rich. Well, today, we're taxing the rich. I'm thrilled to announce we've secured a pied-à-terre tax, the first in New York's history. This is an annual fee on luxury properties worth more than $5 million, whose owners do not live full-time in the city. Like for this penthouse, which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million. This pied-à-terre tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich, those who store their wealth in New York City real estate, but who don't actually live here. But even so, they're able to reap the huge financial rewards of owning property in, dare I say, the greatest city in the world. And most of the time, these units are sitting empty, since again, they don't actually live here. This is a fundamentally unfair system that hurts working New Yorkers. Now, it's coming to an end. This tax will raise at least $500 million directly for the city. It'll help fund things like free childcare, cleaner streets, and safer neighborhoods. As mayor, I believe everyone has a role to play in contributing to our city, and some a little bit more than others. Happy Tax Day, New York.
You know, and what's interesting about that, and I think good, is that this isn't going to make any difference in the lives of the people that have second homes worth over $5 million. I don't know how much the tax is. It didn't say. It may be based on the value of the property or something like that. But if it's a second home and it's worth more than $5 million, you can assume that person's got some dough.
Yeah,
and they can afford
do.
to pay a little bit more in taxes.
And it's not even second homes. It's second homes that are sitting vacant.
Right.
So,
right.
for example, if they own it and they rent it out, then that wouldn't be impacted by this tax. So they're calling it a pied-à-terre tax, which is it literally means foot on the ground.
I didn't understand that word.
Yeah.
Pied-à-terre.
So it's pied, which is foot, P-I-E-D, terre, which is on the ground. So a foot on the ground tax. So because they don't have feet on the ground, because they have these properties sitting vacant, he's proposing, and the governor as well, proposing this tax.
How did you know what pied-à-terre meant?
Because I speak French. That's why.
Well, of course you do. All right. It was interesting. I wonder what the music was behind that, too. It sounded like he was...
It was his
like
Instagram account. It was his
okay.
Instagram account.
It
That's
wasn't a
where we
press
got the
conference.
sound. No.
Okay.
Yeah. He uses social media. So it's interesting because New York City does not assess the value of all properties equally. And now I'm looking at a New York Times article. But the Department of Finance assesses the value of 1, 2, and 3 family homes based on market value, but condos and co-ops are assessed differently. It's a complicated formula based on the net income of the building, which is different, right? This distinction could affect how the state determines which properties are actually worth $5 million or more.
Yeah, so what they're claiming is, and this is from the Economist in New York City, that they're going to raise $500 million. That's a lot of money, and it's people that can easily afford it. I mean, I don't know that it would even make a difference if you were buying a $5 million condo that you think, well, they're going to get this additional tax. It doesn't, to me, and I don't know, I don't have a $5 million second home. But it seemed like that if you can afford that, you can afford to pay a few. dollars.
But here's interesting, and this is something from the Tax Foundation. It's a nonpartisan tax policy organization, and they said, will this bring in revenue? Yes, but it will not bring in as much as they think because there are plenty of ways for wealthy people to avoid taxes. And isn't that the truth?
Yeah, and you can avoid taxes in this one just by putting somebody in the house. You know what I mean?
Well, if you rent it, yeah, sure.
A vacant house or something like that. Put your Uncle Bob in there.
You can do a limited liability corporation, so you can shield personal assets. You can put it in a trust, right? But it's interesting to me when we were approaching tax day on our show and we were talking about it. One of the poll numbers that I saw leading up to tax day is something like, I don't remember exactly, but something like 70% of Americans think that the rich don't pay their fair share.
I know, and that's why I think
some of it is this is why, right? It's like, well, they have an army of lawyers. Oh, speaking of lawyers, they have an army of lawyers telling them how to get out of paying taxes.
But that's why this kind of thing makes sense. And I know some people think, well, he's a bit of a socialist or whatever. But if you're raising money, and he does have the blessing of the governor too. It's not just this new mayor, and just property tax on empty homes worth over $5 million. It seems to be a fairly distinct group of homes, and he believes that it could raise $500 million. I'm reading the article, and I still can't figure out what the assessment is. Like I say, it may have something to do with the value of the property.
It does, actually. And so this is looking at the New York Times again, but they say the details are still being fleshed out, but the surcharge would most likely be on a sliding scale based on the value of the property. So a $100 million penthouse would face a larger surcharge than a $5 million two-bedroom. I'm like, you guys are talking about, like, I have no idea what that world is like. I just don't. But a $100 million penthouse sitting vacant, okay, that's fine.
Pays more than the poor guy that only has the $5 million two-bedroom home.
The poor guy for his second home that stays empty.
Right,
okay, so so that's a different world that I don't walk in. But anyway, that's an interesting proposal, and some people are happy about it, some people are not happy about it, but we'll see if they're able to do that.
And the proof's in the pudding. Let's see what happens in the next year, how much money they raise.
That's right. All right, and they have, I think, until July 1st is when they're trying to get this in place before they have to have the next budget year begin. Okay, graduation season, we mentioned, is here, and for a lot of new college grads, it's not just a milestone. It can be a crossroads. Sometimes it's depressing. Once the caps are tossed, suddenly the big question hits, now what? We're going to talk about navigating life after college with your advice next. What's your best life advice for college grads? Text us 57500.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
Did you know Utah State University is home to one of the nation's leading centers for disability research and advocacy? At the Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice, we work side by side with Utahns with disabilities, their families, and community partners to make our state more accessible and inclusive for everyone. Our researchers, educators, and advocates partner with family service providers and policymakers to create real, lasting change. We believe that everyone deserves a chance to live, learn, work, and play in our communities. From helping children reach their potential in early intervention programs, to building accessible technologies, to improving mental health and employment supports, our work touches every corner of the state. The Institute for Disability Research, Policy, and Practice is the only disability-focused research center in the state of Utah. That means we're Utah's home for innovation, data-driven policy, and community solutions that make life better for people with disabilities. Find us at idrpp.usu.edu.
This is a special alert to all Americans
Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
911, coming back to what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
And I said, Josh, where are you? You need to get home.
And her husband will never be held accountable.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
I'm Dave Cawley, host of the podcast Cold.
Then he starts making phone calls to Susan's phone.
Hello, Susan. We are on our way back.
It's the deepest of deep dives into this tragic tale of abuse.
Where was Josh when Susan disappeared?
I don't know. Of one mother's desperate attempt to escape.
This is me, covering all my bases.
Help prevent it from happening again.
Our focus has and continues to be finding Susan.
Listen and learn by following Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Every 2 minutes, another American is sexually assaulted. If you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, you are not alone. Help is just a call or click away through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Please call 1-800-656-HOPE, that's HOPE, or visit RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by Rain and this station.
The new Inside Sources.
Well, it is graduation season. We should have the music playing.
We do need that music.
Yeah, which means thousands of new college grads are stepping off the stage and straight into the great unknown. And I just wanted to know if it's that exciting, is it terrifying?
Yes.
It's a little bit of
And
both.
yes.
So let's open up the conversation. What one piece of advice would you give a brand new college grad? Drop your wisdom to us by text at Text us
again.
at 57500 or call us at 801-575-TALK and tell us what advice you'd give a college grad. And I would say this to people who are college grads. What advice maybe do you wish you had gotten when you got out of college?
Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it too. So look, one of the things, remember that it is different when you leave college than when you leave high school. So we'll have that same kind of question the end of May when the high schools are graduating. But right now, today, BYU has their graduation. And as we head into next week, most of the rest of the universities around the state are going to be having their graduations. So sometime between now and next Friday, we have a whole bunch of college grads who are either continuing further education or they're going to do jobs. And I will say this, my own daughter is graduating next Thursday, and she took the tenure track, meaning like 10 years, not tenure.
Not tenure.
10 years. But she did it at her pace, and she was working full-time. She still has a full-time job. During that 10-year period, she got married, she has a baby, and she is finally finishing her degree in business from Utah Valley University. So I'll be going to that. So I'm really happy for her.
Well, let me ask you.
Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody graduating from college right now?
I think one of the things that I'm thinking about right now is we hear a lot. It feels like we hear a lot that college isn't that valuable anymore. And I disagree with that. I think that you learn things in higher education, in pursuing education, whether that's at a college, university, tech school, you learn things that you're going to need the rest of your life, whether you work in that particular field or not, right? And I also would say you're going to change careers a number of times, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I think that makes a lot of sense. And, I think a lot of kids get out of college and they're scared.
Yeah.
Now what? What do I do?
Exactly. It's like a grown-up thing for sure,
what do I do when I grow
right?
up? Well, now I'm grown up. I just got out of college. And I think that, taking a step back is always helpful.
So what's your piece of advice to college grads? Or what do you wish somebody had told you?
Well, what I wish somebody had told me, and I think it's my same advice. So just my history, I graduated from high school in 75. I got my engineering degree in 79. I got my law degree in 82. I took the bar in 82, and I started working.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I had done something other than that. I went straight through. I was 24 years old practicing law, and I thought, this was dumb.
Wow.
This was dumb. Because then I felt like I'd locked myself into a career. Not that it wasn't a great career. I mean, I can't imagine doing anything else. But I wish that sometime either after high school or after college or maybe even a year after law school that I had taken a year and done something else. Of all things, I would have enjoyed being a professional ski patroller.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've done it sort of on a semi-professional, but like doing that 5 days a week and getting in there and or working at a bike shop or a motorcycle shop or something like that. Just a career that's just completely off the wall that I enjoy now that I look back on it and say, I wish I would have done that. I mean, working at a restaurant, I would have enjoyed doing that. And why I didn't take a year or two off, I don't know. I think some people are afraid if you do, you're not going to get back into it.
Right.
But that's not true at all. So I would say, it doesn't hurt to take a year off. And I say this to people who are considering serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. By all means, do it. If you have a chance to go in the military for a couple of years, those are great things to do.
Yeah.
Those are wonderful things to do that I would absolutely support if a loved one of mine was asking about doing something after college.
There are people who plan that kind of gap year. It's pretty common in Europe to take a gap year, and it's usually between high school and college, but it doesn't have to be. And they travel, they volunteer with humanitarian organizations,
Peace Corps, those kind of things.
So we have advice coming in, and I've got a whole bunch of pieces. So if you are loved ones of college grads coming up, if you're at graduation right now, I know you're not listening to us, but for the ones who are, look, one piece of advice, and I've seen this more than once, but live within your means and keep working towards your fullest potential. One says open a high-yield savings account and contribute what you can so you can build up that emergency fund. And then we put it out on our Facebook page. There's so many interesting comments on here. One of the ones that really stood out to me, so there's a bunch about finances, right? But one that really stood out to me is you're going to do something different than you think you are, right? You probably won't find a job in the field of your degree, and you're going to fall in love with a career that is completely opposite, and that's okay. Good job for getting the degree anyway, and that's from Deborah.
Yeah, no, that's the advice.
Yeah.
That's the winner for me.
I have been I've been writing for newspapers for 9 years, almost 10 years now. I've been doing this radio show for 10 and a half months. I have zero training in journalism. None. Zero. I have communications training. It's been super valuable, but I don't have any journalism training.
Yeah. That's interesting because this job has been like that for me, coming out.
Yeah.
But this is not post-college, but, what a complete turn from practicing law to sitting here next to Holly Richardson and doing a live radio show 5 days a week.
My first degree was in nursing, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Mine was in metallurgical engineering.
Yeah, right. Okay. There's a couple of others. So there's a whole bunch about money. Save your money. Max out your Roth IRA every year starting now. One says pay off your student loan as quick as possible, which I think is great. Another one says be prepared to move where the jobs are in your field of studies. So that's a thing too. And I know in academia, which is something like I'm interested in teaching, and I do adjunct, which is great. But when I was going through my PhD program, there were kids, and I would say they were kids because they were my kids' age, who were saying, look, I want to be a professor, and I'm going to apply to go wherever I can find a job. And some of them were applying 50, 60, 70 different universities, which is wild to me. And then they move where the job is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm stuck here because, other considerations.
And my advice is different than what we're getting, which is, start saving your money, start looking for places where there are jobs. My advice is take a year and play.
Yeah.
Take a year and just go like these car trips we're talking about, the daycations.
Yeah.
Take a yearcation. Just go, get in the
Do
car,
stuff.
do something like that you've always wanted to do. Go visit somebody that you haven't seen in a long time. And, take a year and just see something else. I would absolutely tell anyone to do that.
This is one, and this stands out to me because I agree with it. That's probably why it stands out. This is Gary on Facebook who says, a degree is a ticket into the professional world, but in 5 years, it won't matter. What will matter is how you treat people, coworkers, managers, clients. The degree is the foundation, but your career is built on how you treat people. And I think that is true.
100% true.
I also think that it's okay if there's no plan at all, right? And you can be open to new things. I will say this. Every time I talk to people about my quote-unquote career path, I just say it's nonlinear, right? And 5 years ago, I had no idea I'd be doing this show, right? And 6 months before I started a PhD program, that wasn't in my plan, right? So be open to saying yes to lots of different opportunities, and I promise your life is going to turn out different than you anticipate, and it's still going to be great.
People, I'm just grinning while you're talking because people still ask me, "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up." What do I want to do when I grow up? Who would have thought I'd be here and loving every second of it?
Right. So say yes to as many different things as you can, and know that things are just they're gonna look different, and you're gonna go through some things that are rough. Maybe you'll get fired. Maybe you'll get laid off. Maybe you won't get your dream job that you thought was your dream job.
Maybe you'll fall in love.
Maybe you'll fall in love, get married, and have a whole bunch of kids. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
Right. Who knows?
Go in a different direction.
Anyway, we appreciate the advice that you've sent in, and we'll continue this conversation, of course, too. So. Okay, many of us, whether you're in leadership, you're just a parent, you face high-pressure situations, mental health is part of this overall discussion about life. And what do you do with your mental health in high-pressure situations? Well, we're going to visit with the Utah Women in Leadership Institute when we come back after this break.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. A big announcement from BYU basketball superstar AJ Dybonsa today.
Today I'm officially declaring for the 2026 NBA draft.
The move comes just after his freshman season in Provo. Dybonsa was the leading scorer in the nation, averaging more than 25 points per game. The 19-year-old is expected to be one of the top prospects in the draft. He says it was important to his parents that he continue his education, so he plans to finish his degree in mass communications online. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The president has ordered the U.S. Navy to, quote, shoot and kill boats laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz.
President Trump claimed on Thursday that Iran is, quote, having a very hard time figuring out who their leader is, and said there's infighting between who he called hardliners and moderates. The post on social media from the president comes after he extended the ceasefire indefinitely, with the administration citing divisions with the Iranian government as a reason negotiations on a peace deal couldn't move forward. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt on Wednesday.
There's obviously a lot of internal division. This is a battle between the pragmatists and the hardliners in Iran right now, and the president wants a unified response.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is down 366 points. The S&P is down 51 points. And coming up, scattered showers. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
When you crash your car, you get it fixed. When your computer crashes, you get a new one. But what will you do if you've been saving in a 401k or an IRA and the market crashes? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be just fine. But if you're in or near retirement, you could be in trouble. Mike Stevens and his team at Capital Wealth Advisors are here to help. They can run a risk analysis to see if you're too heavily invested in the market. Don't let the ups and downs of Wall Street control you or your retirement dreams. Call 801-210-5500 today to schedule your risk analysis with Mike Stevens and the team at Capital Wealth Advisors. That's 801-210-5500. Crashes happen. Question is, are you ready? Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Tim Hughes back at Replenish Landscape Garden Products. That means it must be spring, and spring has sprung a little early this year. I'm here with Greg. You guys, I don't think, have stopped all winter long, have you?
We haven't. We've had business throughout January, February, and March has taken off like a rocket.
With the lack of precipitation down here in the valleys this winter, the need for nutrients, and I'm going to guess moisture retention is going to be more important than ever, Greg. That's where your soil blends come in.
We have 3 great soil blends for growing specifically. We have the topsoil compost blend, we have a Ute-like garden mix, and we have also the box garden mix, which is formulated specifically for container boxes.
If you're in need this spring and upcoming summer, make sure you stop in to Replenish Landscape Garden Products. You can buy it in bulk, you can buy it in bag, or have it delivered from 4660 South 200 West in Murray. Find them online at replenishcompost.com or give them a call at 801-262-5142. Replenish. It's good stuff.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime.
Our entry-level data plans start at just $20 a month. And for a limited time, switch and get your second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com or a store near you and get your second month free today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional details.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Build smart, save big. UCCU, love where you bank. Here's Ricky Meese.
Back to a quiet drive on our valley freeways and main secondaries. No accidents and no delays. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs in the 50s with scattered showers today. Tomorrow the sun comes back out and highs get up to the 60s. And we're expecting the rain to return next week. Right now it is 48 and cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So we just talked about college graduation, and that can be stressful. I think college is stressful, and certainly students who are, even if you're in high school, you can really have these mental health stressors. But once you get out into the workforce, and I would say for me, when I spent the bulk of my adult years at home raising kids, I had my own mental health stressors and feeling like they were high pressure situations and not knowing where to turn. So I'm happy to be able to have a discussion today about some of those mental health struggles.
We all deal with it, and of course some people deal with it in different ways, and some people can't deal with it in their own, in whatever.
Or you push it off for
right,
so long,
right.
and then there's a huge emergency, right? So we have with us in studio today Melanie Jones, who's the CEO of the Utah Women in Leadership Institute, and Josie White, who's a local advocate and speaker, to talk to us about navigating mental health struggles in high-pressure situations. So welcome, ladies.
Thanks so much for having us. It's such a pleasure to be with you every month.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
All right, Josie. So let's start with you. Just tell us, you just gave, you talked with some of the members of the cohort from WLI, the leadership cohort, and talking about this topic. What kinds of advice did you give them as you had this conversation?
I suppose the biggest piece of advice I have for anyone who's dealing with a mental health condition, like I have and continue to do so day to day, is that there's no reason to feel shame for something they did not choose and cannot control. And so you can manage it, right? But you don't get to choose a diagnosis like that. So in leadership, there's no reason to carry that shame, and also no reason to look at your teammates that you're supervising as any sort of less than for these types of struggles.
How do you help people to appreciate that, though? I mean, that's an incredible thing to say, and I agree with it. But how do you impress that on someone? That whole idea of you don't have to have shame, you don't have to have.
Oh, it is so much easier said than done, right? Mental health is so stigmatized in our communities. But for me personally, I'm out in the community trying to walk the walk, not just talk the talk. And so part of my advocacy work is to tell my story of living with schizoaffective disorder, which is more or less an unwelcome tango between bipolar disorder and schizophrenia with manifestations of both. And so I try to go out into the community and tell my story of hospitalizations and lots of medical problems, as well as a story of hope. I'm gainfully employed right now. I have the absolute honor of serving on the Utah Behavioral Health Commission, and I also serve on a fundraising board. So I suppose with my story, what I try to convey is that people can and do recover with adequate resources, and in recovery and in struggle, you can find community.
I think it's interesting, and you mentioned it's easier to talk the talk than walk the walk, and I feel like we're talking the talk more, but I do have those concerns that we're not really walking the walk, right? And we've had conversations on our show before about even certain professions where the words are, we support you in your mental health and well-being. However, if you actually access those resources, we're going to hold it against you. I'm talking specifically about maybe members of the military or pilots, for example, right? That is really concerning to me. So when you're talking with people in positions of leadership, and you just talked with women in leadership positions, how can they encourage the walking the walk?
Well, first, if you're in a situation where there is risk or a disclosure would put you in a dangerous or toxic situation, you don't need to do that, right? I'm privileged in that I can tell my story without extreme personal risk. For leaders, I think starting the discussion, so talking the talk, and then where appropriate without over disclosing, walking the walk. And so that might be getting involved with a community organization like the National Alliance for Mental Illness, which is NAMI Utah. So there are a lot of opportunities to get involved outside of work and then bring those discussions in a really workplace safe way back to your team.
Melanie, as people start progressing in careers and jobs and families and things, of course, there's a trade-off because you want to be a success and you want to be big in your field, but it also comes with a tremendous amount of stress. And I find that people, and there is a question here, I find that people, like, they really want to be the best lawyer, they really want to do this and that, but they fail in other areas. And I'm just wondering if you have advice on, like, the balance part of it, because that's where I think we fail. You want to be the best at something, but then does that mean you're not a good father? Does that mean you're not a good sister? You know what I mean? Or a good daughter, mother, whatever. I mean, how do you? I know that's a question that could take weeks to answer, but what do you tell people?
Yeah. So the first way that I approach this is to think about the lies that we tell ourselves. So in this community, I am obviously focused on women in leadership. And a lie that we tell ourselves in this community as women is that as we progress up the ladder, we have less to give to our family, we have less to give to our friends, we have less to give to our community, to our church. I have not found that to be the case. I have found that as I have elevated in my career, I have been given more resources. So suddenly I have people reporting to me that I can delegate things to. I get raises, so I can hire people to help with anything that I need. So as you elevate in your career, you can outsource. And for me, I have found that my motor has run at the same speed, whether I was an individual contributor or now at the top as CEO. I work the same hours a week that I always worked. It's just I'm working on different things and now I have people to help me. So first, I don't want to discourage anybody from wanting to grow because they think they'll have to sacrifice. The next thing is work-life integration. I think we've decided as a nation, maybe as a world, that work-life balance doesn't exist. It was trendy to say for a while, and then we realized that's not possible because you always feel guilty if you're not balancing perfectly 50-50. So it's integration. I did an interview with Adrienne Lee, who is the president of Overstock Bed Bath & Beyond, and she was talking about how for her, work-life integration means sometimes work gets her all, and sometimes home gets her all. And sometimes at work, she's like, sorry, I got to leave. This thing's happening with my kid. And so work suffers a little. And sometimes she tells her family, I can't be at the soccer game tonight. We have a convention that we're part of. And so instead of feeling guilty that you're not checking every box all the time, just be intentional about it. Another interview I did was with Nate Randall, the CEO of Greenix. And he says at the beginning of every single week, he meets with his family and he says, what are your non-negotiables? Okay, you want me to be at this soccer game. You have 3 this week. I can come to this one on Thursday that's important to you. And he goes through his family and says, what's the one thing? Okay, I'm a CEO. I can't be to everything, but I can be to your most important thing every week. And I don't know, for me, that's how to handle it.
Yeah, I think that's great. And we've already run out of time, which is wild. I don't know how that always happens. So Josie, in the last 45 seconds, what were some of the takeaways you think people got from the WLI presentation that you just did?
Based on the questions I received, I think it was a real reassurance that people aren't alone and that there are people willing to support you and hear your story.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. We should have made this 2 segments. What were we doing wrong?
Well,
we're going to invite you back. Let's do that. Would that be all right?
I would be truly honored to
I already know
back.
how Melanie will answer that question.
Yes, of course.
We like to pick on her.
Okay. Well, there was, so first of all, it's still Take Your Child to Work Day. So I brought Jazzy with me. She's going to join us back in studio. She's been in the control booth. But there was also a meteorite over Utah this morning. We're going to talk about that with our fun facts and closing arguments when we come back after this break.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and they watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror. I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness.
Because,
That is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, ANDcollar.com.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
What are you doing every day to support your liver? If you enjoy sweets, fast food, alcohol, or take any medications, that's a vital question to ask. Hi, I'm Sherry Torkas, pharmacist and health author. For over 30 years, I've helped people make informed decisions about their health, especially concerning prevention and long-term wellness. Supporting your liver isn't just a wellness trend, it's a daily essential. That's why I recommend Active Liver by New Nordic. It's made with plant-based ingredients like milk thistle, turmeric, and globe artichoke, herbs clinically studied for their protective and restorative effects on the liver. Active Liver blends traditional herbal wisdom with modern scientific research. Not all supplements are created equal. I trust Active Liver because it's backed by science, meets strict quality standards, and delivers true daily liver support.
Active Liver is available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com, or you can find it in stores at CVS, Meijer Grocery, Wegmans, and now Active Liver is available at your local GNC.
The United States is facing a mental health crisis, but there is hope. At Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, they're transforming how mental health is treated and researched, bringing compassion, innovation, and access to those who need it most. Your donation helps fund life-saving care and cutting-edge research that leads to better treatment for everyone. It's already making a difference. Huntsman Mental Health Foundation has built Utah's first ever mental health crisis care center, open 24/7 to anyone, regardless of ability to pay. They've also recently launched a youth crisis care program at Huntsman Mental Health Institute, giving kids and teens immediate support. And Huntsman Mental Health Foundation is expanding services like therapy, medication management, geriatric care, and treatment-resistant support. Join us. Be part of the change. Donate today at hmhf.org. That's hmhf.org.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Utah's population is expected to double, and the Wasatch Front Regional Council is working to improve Utah's future transportation while also strengthening the economy and protecting the environment. Community and Economic Development Director Meg Padgett joins us with more.
The Wasatch Front Regional Council serves communities along the Wasatch Front by facilitating planning for transportation, land use, and economic development. To maintain our quality of life as our region changes, we have to work together to create choices for how we get around and where we live and work. That's why Wasatch Front Regional Council collaborates with cities and stakeholders to produce the Wasatch Choice Vision, our shared plan for the future. The vision indicates where our communities want to focus growth, particularly in existing or planned city and town centers containing a mix of jobs, housing, and other amenities. Many of these centers surround transit stations, providing more people with more transportation choices. Wasatch Front Regional Council helps communities further their plans by providing technical assistance. Implementing the vision has doubled the number of homes near transit in the last 15 years. Reach out to learn more about what your community is planning for the future.
By working closely with cities, counties, and stakeholders, the Wasatch Front Regional Council is helping bring Utah together to better prepare for the state's future. To learn more, visit wfrc.utah.gov. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Inside Sources.
Well, we're wrapping up today. And you mentioned this before. I didn't realize this, but we had a meteor this morning. I didn't...
Meteorite?
Meteorite.
So many listeners let us know and then that they had seen a big flash of light in the sky this morning, and KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson says it was a meteorite.
Around 4:50 a.m., this is a fireball. This isn't just a meteor, but a large meteor, and we call them fireballs. And the heat and the pressure is getting so intense on this rock, essentially, that's flying through the air, that it actually breaks up. And for a split second, you get a big flash, and that's because it's exploding. It's breaking up. The heat and pressure got so great that it actually broke up. So there you go. Looking northeast, if you've got a security camera or a ring camera looking northeast along the Wasatch Front, maybe give it a look. You might have caught it in the overnight. That was around 4:50 a.m., massive fireball. And it's actually making part of the Lyrid meteor shower. The Lyrid meteor shower, I should say. And that peaks, it actually peaked last night, and we're probably getting some leftovers, right? It extends all the way to the 25th of April, but really the highest concentration of meteors in our sky is last night and this morning.
So if people have video of either dash cams or your security cameras on your house, feel free to send them in. I was awake at that time, but I was not looking outside at that time.
Yeah, it was the same thing. I was riding indoor bicycle.
So interesting. So that was fun. And look, I told you at the beginning of the show, that today is Take Your Child to Work Day. And it used to be Take Your Daughter to Work Day, and then it became Take Your Daughter and Son to Work Day. So I actually did bring our daughter Jazzy to work with us today, and I'm going to interview her. So, Hi, Jasmine. Thanks for joining us.
Hi.
So I just wanted to ask you what you thought about coming to work at the radio station today.
It was fun. I was on Instagram the whole time and texting my best friend.
And she was watching you on YouTube, wasn't she?
Yeah, and then she commented.
So what's it like to watch your mom? I mean, you're at home. She's your mom. She's cooking dinner. She's telling you to get ready for school. I hear her telling you to get ready for school once in a while. So what's it like to watch her at work? What did you think?
It was fun watching her. I remember the first time she did this thing. I was watching her on my Google Home while I was doing my laundry. And it was,
was this last year when I started the job?
Yeah.
Oh, you've watched this show before.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So anyway, thanks for joining us, Jazzy. And I don't know if any other parents brought their kids to work day or today, but Jasmine and I had a good experience. She got to see the control center, the traffic center, be in here with us. So thanks for joining us, Jazzy.
Yeah, we need to bring your grandkids to work one day.
Yes,
maybe
we
that
need
would
to do
apply
that.
because that's where I am.
I can do that too. My grandkids are fun too.
Yeah.
Okay, so today, again, it's April 23rd, and I do have a few fun facts. It's also considered Shakespeare Day because William Shakespeare was born and died on the same day. Not the same year, of course, so he was born in 1564 and died in 1616 at age 52, but it was actually on his birthday, which is April 23rd.
William Shakespeare. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And he didn't live very long.
No.
Considering how prolific he was.
I mean, all things considered, 53 was kind of oldish at that time.
Yeah, but he did just remarkable work. I'll tell you this, and please don't be mad at me, listeners. I'd rather do anything to go to a Shakespeare play. My wife loves it. She goes down to Cedar City every year, but she takes someone else with her every time. I'm like, honey, here's the money, here's the car, go have fun. She loves that Shakespeare festival. And, I'm digressing a bit. Have you been there to Cedar City? The Shakespeare Festival in Utah is world renowned. It is incredible. Not that I've seen it.
I've seen a play or two. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Good.
Okay, it was on this day in 1635, which is really a long, long time ago, that the first public school in what will become the United States is opened. So this public school was opened. I think it was in Florida. I could be wrong, actually. But the first community school was opened on this day in 1635.
I wonder where it was. Yeah, and wouldn't it be just fascinating to find that building? I'm sure it's long since destroyed.
Oh, long since
gone.
What
it was like and how it was set up. Because you think about those smaller communities, and you don't have a lot of kids. So do you have 3 or 4 grades in the same room? You know what I mean?
Of course.
You have to do that.
And I lied. It was in Boston. Of course it was. Boston, Massachusetts, established by Puritan settlers to provide free education for boys. Only.
A good start. Free education, public education.
On this day in 1791, James Buchanan was born. He became the 15th president, and he's a relative of ours. So, my mother's grandmother's maiden name was Buchanan. So we're related. He wasn't a great president, but this is his
Not
birthday.
one that you talk about much.
No,
you don't
because he wasn't a great president. It was also on this day in 1928 that Shirley Temple Black was born.
Oh.
Shirley Temple.
Right, yeah, Shirley Temple.
Her birthday, so she would have been, if she were still alive, she would have been 98 today. And, the thing about Shirley Temple that I think is so interesting, we talk about career changes, right? We were talking about that with college grads. So she started as a child actor. Of course, you know that. Singer, dancer, etc. She became a U.S. ambassador to Ghana and then to Czechoslovakia. 2 different countries, 2 different presidents appointed her.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
A
the same
diplomat.
Shirley Temple.
Yeah, Shirley Temple Black.
Then she was black then, yeah, okay.
Her last name. Yep.
Interesting.
Okay. And it was on this day in 2005 that the first YouTube video got uploaded. So there you go.
Good for you. So, did you say you're speaking at a college? You didn't call it a commencement.
It's a convocation.
Which is what?
It's like the different college ceremonies. So it's not the entire body, the student body, but it will be down at UVU next Friday. And it is for the College of Humanities, so it incorporates communication, and I'm the alumni speaker, and that's what I graduated in.
So I don't get asked to do those things, but if I was, and if I was talking to a group, and this isn't any, I'm sure your speech is better than mine, but I do think that was a time in my life when I was graduating from college, and I even remember going to law school because I was graduating from college and I was scared to go do something else. You know what I mean? I got to do something else. I'm
going to stay in school.
I'll go to law school. My dad was like, well, I guess you could be a student the rest of your life. But, I would just say that it is a good time, notwithstanding what you see and hear about what's going on in the country and the world right now. But it is an exciting time to be a college graduate, even with a trade, with whatever. I mean, I think that the future is great for this country, and I think it's great for the young people. And the more young people that I meet, the more people that I see, the more excited I am about the next generation. And the more, I was down at Utah Technical University a week ago today, thanks to you for cutting me some slack to leave early. And I spoke to a group down there, and it was the funnest group of kids. I'll never forget them. I started a text chain with a couple of them just to follow up, but you forget about that. You teach, and I enjoyed that day I spent with your class. You teach and you work with those kids a lot, and I miss that. I don't see that in my practice. The college age kid that's about to go take over the world and about to go do the things that we were thinking about doing 40 some odd years ago when I graduated from college the first time in '79. Like, who knows? I wasn't thinking about anything. But I would just say this. There's a whole world out there. There's a whole world out there. And no matter what your career, if you lock in on something early on, great. If you change gears every year or two, wonderful. I would just say enjoy that experience. Enjoy getting out and finally deciding what you want to do and where you want to be. I joked with you a minute ago, I still wonder what I'm going to do when I grow up.
Same.
It never goes away.
Yeah.
It never goes away, kids. You're always going to wonder if there's something you're missing or something you should have done. And we all look back and say, we should have done this, I should have done that. I should have taken some time off between college and law school. I regret that. Some of our listeners are almost saying the opposite, which was, I should have started investing. I should have started looking for a job. Yeah. I guess the grass is always greener, but I would just say it's an exciting time in our world to be a college graduate. And I would say to all of you that are getting out into the world, make the most of it, because you're the future, and the future, I am absolutely convinced, is very bright. So that's my message.
That's awesome. And congratulations to everybody graduating this week and next week. I'm sure we'll have a chance to talk about it again.
Well, that's a wrap for us. Thanks, Jasmine, for joining us today. You were a lot of